This is Mark Pillow from Superman 4, Nuclear Man, and you're listening to the All-Star Superfan Podcast.
We talk.
I'm going to do what our governments have been unwilling or unable to do. Effective immediately, I'm going to rid our planet of all nuclear weapons.
Hi, everybody. Well, late?
Hey, Mr. Kidder, how you doing? No, he's not here yet.
Well, it must have been quite some effort for you to drag yourself out of bed this morning. Huh?
Well, I'm feeling a lot better. Had a visit from a pretty good nurse.
Oh.
Well, it must have been some pretty good medicine, because Miss Lane said you were really ill.
Well, you know, Jimmy, sometimes all you need is a little loving attention from the right person.
Glad you're back, Clark. And remember, I am covering Superman's press conference. All you do is tape reactions from the crowd, okay?
Reactions, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Guess you need a tape recorder, huh? Be right back.
Clark.
Same old Mr. Kent. He'll never change.
I hope not.
Has everybody got a badge? No. Oh. Jim Barry's absolutely insistent that everybody gets a badge.
Thank you very much. That's lovely. Thank you.
And you need one of those.
Oh, that's spectacular. Amazing.
Stuart. My eldest.
How old are you? Oh, do I get a third one? Oh my goodness. Whoa. Look at this.
I'm Stuart. How you doing? Right.
How are you tonight, Alan?
Great, Rob. Great. A little bit of jet lag, but nothing I can't overcome.
Jet lag?
Yeah, didn't you know? I mean, I'm an international man of mystery now.
We're in the same time zone. It's like an hour away.
Still, you know, it's just the whole airport thing takes it out of
you. So, for anyone wondering what we are referring to, we decided to do an extra special episode to talk about our lovely trip to scenic, well, I say scenic, metropolitan Milton Keynes. I obviously have mentioned a few times I went before on my own, very lonely trip to check out the filming locations of Superman 4. But we were contacted a couple of weeks ago by the great Martin Lakin. He's been on the show a couple of times and asked would we like to come along to the latest super events event where they basically go to Milton Keynes and go through all the locations. He was going to be a de facto tour guide, and a couple of other people on the kind of organising committee, Andy Hatton and Alexi Lamley-Steele. They were very much involved in organising it as well, and there was a little bit of to and fro. Alan and I have very demanding jobs. We weren't really sure if we could go, but I was kind of like, do you know what? I am off the following day, and if I jigged things around a bit, I could probably go and do this trip. And it was going to be a little bit stressful trying to get it all sorted out, but I was like, yeah, let's just try and do this. What about you? Before we talk about the trip itself, Alan, talk to me about the deciding to do the trip.
Well, I immediately said no. So Martin reached out and he was like, we're organising this event and it's Saturday week and we're going to Milton Keynes. And I was like, without even processing it, I was like, there's no way I can make that work in a week and a half with work and everything else. And then I went out to Stacey, my wife, and I said it in a kind of matter-of-fact way. I was like, the guys over in the UK are organising this event over in Milton Keynes and going to visit the filming locations for Superman 4. And Stacey immediately was like, just go. Just go. She goes, if you don't go, you're going to be a nightmare. You're going to be here and I'm going to have to listen to it all weekend. You going, I should have gone. Why didn't I go? And she was 100% right. I would have been exactly like that. And she was like, you're off that weekend anyway. We can just, you know. So I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? She's dead right, because I will regret it if we don't go. And I was off that weekend naturally. It is only like an hour's flight from Dublin. So,
but that being said, sorry to cut across you there. Like it's only an hour's flight from Dublin, and definitely the last time I went, the flights were really cheap because I think I went on like a Monday or a Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah,
I had like a weird couple of days off work, so I was able to squeeze it in. But like this meant going on a Friday night, which is substantially more expensive, and we also had to factor in accommodation for that Friday night, which it doesn't matter where in the world you're staying. Friday night is one of the most expensive nights to stay.
Not where we stayed.
And also you had to drive 2 hours to Dublin as well. So there was a lot of things to factor in. So like a lot of people kind of our American fans will look at us and go, "Oh, well, you guys must go to the UK all the time." It's like, yeah, like here and there, but like not all the time,
Yeah, it still takes half a day really to get to where you want to go. Like by the time, like I obviously packed and everything, got in the car, drove to Dublin. That was 2 hours. It didn't help the fact that I was waiting for my bus at the drop-off point, not the pick-up point, for the first 20 minutes. So then got on the bus, went in, met you guys in the airport and stuff, flight over.
So we were joined by Paul Rogers from Batman Movie Online. We've met him a few times at various different things. He's a fan of the show. You would have heard him. He sent in voice messages a few times. But he is a legendary webmaster. That site, Batman Movie Online, it was like a formative site for me growing up. I would have read his interviews with Hugo Blick and all these different kind of bit players in Batman 89 and Batman Returns. So like he was one of these people that was kind of, for want of a better word, famous, to me growing up. So it's amazing that we're kind of friends with him now. And he also does that amazing Spider-Man 77 website as well, which we'll talk about it in another little while. But sorry, keep going.
Yeah, but no, it was great. I got to the airport, met the two of you guys. We managed to get a pint in before we got on the plane, the obligatory pint. Flew over to Milton Keynes. We were only up in the air and we were back down. I think we were there in 55 minutes or something. And we got off and we decided to get a taxi from Luton Airport to Milton Keynes, which was about 35 minutes maybe, because it saved us a 2-hour bus journey. And got to Milton Keynes, checked into the Easy Hotel, I think the name of it was.
This hotel is very much DIY hotel. You get in, the room is basically it's a double bed, but it's like there's nothing else in the room basically.
Yeah, but it takes the box. It would, like you said, it would be perfect for like stag weekends, bachelor parties, that kind of thing. You literally just like you can check in late. The staff were friendly. You got a free coffee. You walked into your room. It was a double bed with like 2 clothes hangers on a wall, a small TV, a shower, and a bathroom.
And like the clothes hangers are literally like built into the wall. They're not.
So you can't steal them.
You can't steal them. It's so rudimentary, is how I describe it. It's a place you go if all you need to do is fall down. Then this is the place for you. But it was clean.
Perfect.
Yeah,
it was perfect because we were arriving at like circa 1:45, 1 a.m. And we were literally going to drop our bags, which we did, and go for a few drinks before the bars closed at 2. And then we were up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, some of us were up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
So our horrified American listeners are, you did what? At what time? And you had to be up at what time? Like, what? Were you out of your minds? And I think so some of the British fans who were there that weekend were also they voiced similar concerns.
Yeah,
but
we didn't do anything for the
no.
reputation of the Irish over there, I don't think, because we immediately dropped our bags. We're like, we'll meet back in the lobby in 4 minutes. Yeah. And we walked over, found a cocktail bar called, what was it called? Do you remember?
Who cares?
Who cares?
It was not. I mean, now that being said, it was good. It was like a good cocktail bar. There was a lot of life in it. The staff were great. They could make anything.
I Am the One or something. Was that the name of it? It was something I can't remember. But the staff were nice. It was a small little joint, and they had cocktails. And I had like 4 or 5 pretty big cocktails in the space of like 55 minutes. 55 minutes. We had some whiskey.
But crucially, Alan,
we
were amongst friends. It was you, me, it was Paul Rogers. It was people who know the Superman movies very, very, very well. Yes. So naturally, of course, the Brad Wilson and Richard Pryor impressions started flying around this way and that.
Yeah.
And what is the drink that you would immediately think to order in that situation, Alan?
The Singapore Sling.
Singapore Sling! And then, we were wondering what spirits are in a Singapore Sling. And of course, the response to that is,
there's not enough vodka in it.
There's no vodka in it. And Alan and Paul were debating as to whether these guys would even know how to make a Singapore Sling.
It wasn't on the menu, and I legitimately didn't know that it was a well-known cocktail, to be honest.
It wasn't on the menu. Any experienced cocktail orderer knows that you don't need to order from them. Anyway, so I went up and I was like, I'm sure you know how to make Singapore Slings, do you? And he was like, yeah, of course. So he made 3 absolute beauties. And we were delighted. The cocktail bar looked not unlike the Metro Club from Superman 4, which we are going to get to. So we enjoyed those for a little while. And then we made it back to the hotel and we said, right, let's get a good start to the day. We'll meet back here at 8 a.m. And of course, I slept in by 35 minutes. And
Yeah.
I woke up to about 7 missed calls from Alan.
Yeah, I woke up, met Paul down the lobby. Rob wasn't answering his phone, so we said we'd make our way over. There was a kind of a brasserie that did early morning breakfasts and stuff, so me and Paul made our way over there, got the traditional Irish breakfasts. Eventually Rob decided to answer the phone.
It was a traditional English breakfast.
Oh,
actually.
English breakfast, my apologies.
Remember where you were.
Rob eventually answered the phone, came over, joined us, had breakfast, had some coffee and stuff, and then we made our way on foot to meet the crew at 10 a.m. at the Costa at Milton Keynes train station, which, as people might know, is the location for the UN in Superman 4.
So give me your take. I'd been there before. I'd seen it all before. Give me your take as you're walking up to what I would consider to be an iconic location from the Superman movies.
Yeah, well, like Milton Keynes itself is quite industrial. Like it's office buildings from the 80s. If anybody from Ireland is listening, it's kind of like a town made of Liberty Halls, almost.
No, that you're doing it. You're giving it way too much credit there. I would liken it, if anyone's been to Ireland, I would liken it to, if you know Blanchardstown Shopping Centre or Liffey Valley or one of these shopping centres that was built in the 90s or possibly the late 80s. Or the Square Tala. It's like they fashioned an entire village out of one of those. It's a sad place. Like it is. It's soulless.
Now, you say that, but to be fair, I think back in the 80s it was probably quite bleak in the 1980s, but kind of now they like a lot of the ground floors of all these buildings are, like I said, like fancy brasseries, cocktail bars. They've done
they're not though. Like there's no soul to them. They're all franchises. Like there was an olive tree next to a Weatherspoons. That's pretty poor. Like everything is a franchise. Everything's owned by a corporation. Like there's no kind of like mom and pop places. There's no places that look like they're owned by anyone other than kind of accountants in America. Like it's all everywhere you go. Anywhere you go to get a beer or a coffee, like anywhere to get a coffee is either a Costa or a Starbucks. Anywhere you want to get a drink is going to be like a TGI Fridays or a place that looks like that. But like, you know, let's not get off to a negative start here.
It's a very clean town.
It is sterile, is how I'd put it. Talk to me about seeing that train station though for the first time.
Yeah, so like I walked with you. Obviously, I'd never been there before, and it had been a bucket list item because it's not very often I will have the opportunity to visit, you know, Superman filming locations unless I go to Calgary or I go over to Canada and stuff, or over to New York. It's not kind of a thing that's just on your back doorstep here in Ireland. So yeah, seeing it for the first time, like there is similar buildings to it around, but as soon as you see it, you know it's the one. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, here we are. We actually made it. And yeah, it looks exactly like it does in the movie. To this day, like there has been changes obviously to the aesthetic in terms of the paving and the groundworks around it and stuff. But the building itself, the facade of the building itself, the windows, the ground floor, everything like that looks pretty much identical to how it looked in 1987, which is fantastic. Absolutely.
Like, you know, you can literally spot windows that were in the film. You can spot the exact windows that had the reflection of the crane that had Christopher Reeve's wire rig. You can see the little alcove that he walked through with the children. You can see where the hot dog vendor was and the fire hydrant and the pigeons thrown in for atmosphere, as Christopher Reeve put it in his autobiography. Like, it is all there still. The paving is different. The last time I was there, the paving was the way it is in the movie. Like, and I think I even got video of that at the time. I'll try and dig it up and put it in the group. But it literally, up until very recently, the ground you stand on was literally the same as the one that Christopher Reeve
I think there's been more changes to the locations from what you said to me. I think there's been more changes to the locations over the last 6 or 7 years than there was in the 40 years before that, 30 years before that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like we'll talk about a couple of things as we go, but definitely it has changed, I would say, somewhat substantially, even in the time since I was last there, you know? Yeah. But before we go any further, I just want to point out that it was at this point that we met some of our famous friends, people who've appeared on the podcast who we've never met in real life.
Yep.
Most notably Martin Lake, and I have to say, because he was instrumental in not only setting all of this up, inviting us, but him, Alexi Lamley-Steele, and Andy Hatton were really the three guys on this trip. They were guiding us all. They really organised the day very, very well.
Yeah.
But we were so psyched to meet him, having conversed with him so much online, and he was just so friendly. and I'm going to throw in this little clip I got where I spoke to him outside just as he was about to kick things off. So we are standing outside Milton Keynes train station. I'm standing next to...
that would be Martin Lake, of Cape Wonder Europe.
And this is the first time we've stood in the same sharing the same oxygen.
It's the first time we have met, and it is a privilege, I must say. After all this time and all these... I mean, we've spoken how many times? For how long?
Years? Yeah. I think the first thing you said was, "Oh, you're much taller than I thought."
These are the facts. But yes, here we are, on a pretty momentous occasion for something that we just thought was going to be a little get-together. Turns out that it's rather a big get-together, and you have traversed the channel just to be here today.
Absolutely, delighted to be back. My second trip to Milton Keynes, and I'm even more excited this time because I'm surrounded by like-minded fellows.
Yeah, well, I don't know what gives it away. I mean, you can't see it, but there's an ocean of Superman T-shirts in front of us, and it's a very pleasing sight, I have to say.
A woman came up to us and was like, "Oh, you all here for a stag?" And Paul, our friend, was like, "No, it's so much worse than a stag."
Stag? That would
We're not cool enough for a stag.
Kind of justify it a little bit, wouldn't it? But no, not in this instance. We are anything but.
That's what this is for.
What have we got planned today, Martin?
We are going to take a tour of the sets. Luckily enough, after 40 years, which almost to the day, they were filming in November of 1986, we are here, and thankfully the locations that are still in Milton Keynes have changed very little. So we're going to do a tour of that, and hopefully everybody here will get a sense of, if you've not built some Milton Keynes before, which I gather some of these guys haven't, they're going to get the full experience of what it was hopefully like to have been there back in the day. So, as we all know, the reflection of the crane on the right-hand side there, an unfortunate mistake, one of 6 million, I think we can, which we can get into as we progress. But from that point, you can see the crane reflected because the crane was right there. Chris was flown in on multiple takes. People were working in these offices. This is 1986. There was no advanced publicity. There was no fuss. There was no nothing until they were here. And then I remember the whole country going crazy at the time because it was a really big deal for the town. What you can see behind you wasn't. A lot of these buildings didn't exist. There was still a lot of countryside left. It was very much under development. So they had an ideal canvas. I mean, they chose well, really. There's nothing else really that's this kind of breadth. If you can imagine it, from a Panavision point of view, this looks pretty good.
Besides Martin, we also got to meet a couple of other people who are associated with the show. We mentioned Paul, and Neil Ricketson. I don't think you'd ever met Neil in real life, Alan.
Not in person, no. So I hadn't met him.
Neil appeared on our The Batman episode many moons ago, but he's also appeared on the Patreon with me a couple of times, and I've gotten to know Neil so well that he was actually at my wedding not long ago.
Yeah, really nice guy.
He is such a nice guy. He was so enthusiastic to be there. And then Stuart Mulrain, who's also appeared on the show.
Yep.
He was on our Steel episode. I think he did one other episode with us, Alan, didn't he?
Oh, he has, yeah. Don't ask me off the top of my head now what one that was.
He did at least one other one, and then he was on the Patreon with me for a Superboy episode. And I have been on his show, and why not, a number of times. You've been on it a number of times.
I've been on it once or twice. Yeah, we did a Star Trek 6 episode a few years ago, and I think he was saying he's doing a Star Trek series again at the moment. He's going to re-release that episode shortly, so I'm looking forward to hearing that again. I haven't listened to that in a long time.
Yeah, I was just on talking about Star Trek 5, so you can check that out. And I've done over a dozen films on his podcast over the years. He's a good friend of mine. Again, he's a guy I talk to like every other day, and finally I got to meet him in real life. He brought his son Jack along. We got a little bit of audio here as well with those fellas because I think the initial when we moved on from the first location, which was the train station, we moved on to some of the other spots. And things went slightly off course here at this stage. I think the lads' Google Maps were acting up. So we were walking around for a little bit longer than intended, but we did get a chance to catch up with some of the lads. So check this out. We are joined in person for the very first time by Mr. Stuart Mulrain. How are you doing, sir?
Where? Oh, me. Hello.
This is the first time we've met in person. Very exciting.
You have legs.
I have legs. I'm delighted to report that we are about the same height, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. He's definitely taller. Let him have it. Come on.
I'm
definitely wider.
How does it feel to be back in the home of Superman 4?
It's nice. And structured this time. I'm not dragging my entire family round.
Well, you're dragging your son around.
Well, he wanted to come. Yeah, I'm not dragging my wife around then, who did not enjoy her trip last time we came, so...
We're also joined in the flesh. He was at my wedding, but I'm delighted to report he's back here as well. By 1995 Batman.com's Neil Ricketson. How's it going, Neil?
Yeah, very good. We're in a underground pass of many underground passes of Milton Keynes, so I've gone a bit echoey, but we're coming out now, so it should sound a bit better.
The sound quality is not going to be good on this. We're using the onboard mic. But yeah, this is your first time to Milton Keynes in this capacity?
In this capacity, yeah. I used to work at the Open University about 20 years ago, so I know this place pretty well. I knew Milton Keynes, I knew the train station was the UN building. I didn't know there were so many other wonderful places which we're about to get to were also used, but super excited.
Super excited, I like it. So, Alan, finally we reached the second of our epic locations, which was the Duncan Bannatyne Health Spa and Gym.
Yes.
Do you know? You're familiar with Duncan Bannatyne, are you?
Oh, yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Duncan Bannatyne, any American listeners, if you're familiar with Shark Tank, we have a thing called Dragon's Den. He's one of the iconic hosts of that. I don't think he's even on it anymore, but he was for many, many years. He owns this gym, and outside the gym, there's a deleted scene where Clark Kent and Lacey kind of say their goodbyes at the end. But more notably, in the main theatrical cut that everybody knows, when you walk into the lobby of that health spa, you are effectively in the lobby of the Daily Planet. Talk to me about that.
That was my favourite location, I have to say, because we kind of had unfettered access to that building. And what they did was quite economical. They kind of used a lot of that building for many different scenes and locations. So when you walk into the lobby, it's the lobby of the Daily Planet, where you have Lacey Warfield's father coming down the stairs at one point, meeting Jackie Cooper and Margot Kidder and Mark McClure at the end, and he finds out that they've done kind of a hostile takeover of the Daily Planet. Now he's a minority shareholder. All that scene was filmed there. I've even seen a still image of Christopher Reeve standing in that room, kind of up against the wall with Margot and Jackie Cooper and Mark McClure and stuff. So that was really nice to be in there. That room is exactly the same, except for the escalator is gone and it's now a staircase. But
Check.
like the ceiling tiles, the wall tiles, the door that's behind Jackie Cooper, Perry White at the bottom when he's talking, you can see that it's all exactly the same, other than the fact that they've swapped the escalator for a staircase.
The ceiling tiles is something you really notice, and they're in such a state of disrepair. Like, some of them have fallen out. It's not even a ceiling tiles; it's kind of like a perforated ceiling grate, I guess.
Yeah.
And like bits of it have
Very
fallen
industrial.
off. Like it clearly is the same thing that was there in 1987, and you can literally see it in the shots. If you look at the way the kind of mounting that the escalator in the film, but it's now a staircase, the metal mounting that that holds it all up, that's the same. And there's a couple of holes you can see in it. They're all there. The pillars are the same. And as you said, the door it's a
fire door.
Telltale clue that it was filmed in England and not America. It's a very English-looking fire door with the blue sticker on it. That appears to be the same. Now, talking about things that have changed since I was last there, like when I was there, I don't remember that being in such a shocking state of disrepair. Like, it looked like someone had really done a number on this door in the last few years. But again, it just screams that like this must be literally the door that's been there since 1987, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a really, really cool spot, and it's so exciting that it's the exact same one. I guess it's a shame about the escalators, but I did think the last time, I was like, if you're going to get rid of escalators and replace them with stairs, I mean, I guess it makes sense to do that in a gym.
Yeah.
You literally get to the top of the staircase, you walk through the doors, and that's where the Superman statue is in the movie.
Correct.
So you're literally looking at where the statue is as you come through those doors, where Lex and Lenny came down and stole the lock of Superman's hair. That all happened there.
Yeah, within feet of the Daily Planet lobby.
Within feet. It's crazy. Like, and it was only this time around that I was like, oh, I bet if you watch the movie, you can actually pick out telltale clues that it's all the same building. Because, like, I bet that perforated grate is also in this second room. So that was really exciting. And I think you got a really cool photo of me where I'm literally holding up a screen grab of the movie that has the Superman statue in it, in the exact location. And Martin's in the background, like, pointing it out to us. Yeah. It's a great photo. But then, as you mentioned, you walk down a set of stairs. That's the set of stairs that Lex and Lenny walked down where they're like, do you know what I could do with a single strand of Superman's hair?
It's exactly the same as it was in the 1980s. Like, the layout of that room is almost identical. The stairs look the same. Like, I have a screen grab there. You have Lenny and Lex coming down the stairs. The stairs, like, they haven't changed at all. No. And even all the kind of where you see them hunkered down where they're hiding from the tour group in the picture, like that, all that is exactly the same. Even the floor, you can see, we did a comparison with the floor tiles where you could see kind of 4 individual tiles that were slightly raised compared to the rest. That's still right there. Like, nothing has changed.
There's like an access panel or something in the ground, and we were trying to find, like, we were looking at the screen grab of Lex and Lenny going, how can we find those? And they were like, oh, look at that square. That access panel is still there. And we were able to take a photo there. So cool. The main thing, though, what was the main thing you noticed when you're in that room, besides the fact that it looks so similar?
It's hotter than the sun.
The heat is oppressive.
It's unbelievable.
I do remember that from last time, but like right now we are going through a really, really fierce heat wave across Ireland and the UK. And it was like an oven in there. It was inhospitable. Like,
it was literally like being in a sauna. Like, it was that level of heat. Like, people were sweating, and it's all glass, so like it's just intensifying that heat. It was very, what we would call humid, very close. So we kind of spent about 15 minutes in there, and then it was time to get out of there. But the gym is an operational gym, and it is to this day. And Martin kind of went in, and a couple of people, including yourself, went in and spoke to staff in there to kind of.
And this is important to say, right? So the gym, the scenes in the movie where Clark and Lacey go to a gym and
no pain, no gain,
and the bully and all that stuff, we're still not 100% sure where that was filmed. But Martin reckons, like, there's no way it wasn't filmed in the actual gym here. You know,
I don't see why they would film somewhere else when they're using that location for it. Now, I did watch Oliver Harper's documentary again for like the 5th time. It's The Man of Steel and Glass. It's about 8 or 9 years old now, and he interviews one of the kind of the set designers and stuff. Now, he doesn't say that is the gym, but they speak to the mannequins and stuff in the scene that they're putting together, and I cannot see why they would have moved somewhere else when there was a functional gym in that building.
And like Martin, it was amazing to be able to see this happen live in front of us. But like Martin Lakin, this guy who knows absolutely everything there is to know about Superman 4, except where this gym is filmed, he went up to the staff and he started talking to them, and he was like, you know, is there any chance that those scenes were filmed here, and could we check that out? And he was trying to sweet talk them. And in fairness, like, there was one lady there who was in probably her 50s or her 60s. She was lovely. She wasn't here when it happened, but she did know all about it. But there was another girl at reception, and she couldn't have been older than 24, 25.
No.
And she was like, oh, yeah, no, they filmed Superman 4, and it was all filmed out here. Now, she didn't know anything about the stuff filmed in the gym, but she was like, oh, yeah, no, it was filmed out here in the Winter Gardens and upstairs along the foyer, and she was pointing out all the places we'd already been. But they couldn't have been nicer, and they had every right to tell us to F off. And
Martin's a bit of a cheeky chappy. Like, he can go up and kind of, you know, just charm people into kind of letting us into buildings and conversing with us and stuff. He is the gift of the gab. But yeah, I have to say, everybody that we did speak with, all the kind of the locals, the few people that we spoke to about it, couldn't have been nicer.
Now, that being said, that brings us to our next location, which so you walk around kind of the side of that building. We walked around the wrong side first, but we won't get into that. But we finally found the Sainsbury's corporate office.
Yeah.
So for anyone wondering, the Sainsbury's corporate office is the lobby of the Metropolis Hyatt Hotel. It's at the back of the Duncan Bannatyne gym. So again, it's all the same building. It's all a stone's throw from. It's all kind of very, very close. Now, the last time I was there, this was still a functioning corporate office. And I just sort of walked in looking like I was supposed to be there. And I was able to take a few photos. And when I was there last time, it looked exactly the same way as it does in the movie. There's the rotating doors as you walk in, the really ugly, brutalist metallic doors. They were still there. You walk in, there's tiles initially, and then you come out on carpet after that. I think in the movie it was just tiles, and then you're looking at those spectacular elevators The bit where Lacey is going up in the elevator and she's watching as Clark is being hooshed away by the usher, and she's like, "Oh, Clark!" Those elevators still look the exact same. Now, unfortunately, we land there 2 days ago. What happens?
It's fallen into disrepair, really. It's not an operational corporate office anymore. It's boarded up. There's a security guard sitting behind the desk, roughly where Lacey would get onto the elevators, just in front of the elevators. Now, again, to be fair to Martin, he went up, knocked on the door. The guy came out. They conversed for about 5 or 10 minutes. Martin pleaded the case, but the guy was like, "No, look, guys, I can't let you in. It's all monitored CCTV. If I'm shown to be given tours of the place, I'm going to be getting into trouble." So
I heard him say something very funny. He was like, "You people have been here before." Or he's like, "People like you have been here before and you've tried to get in here. I can't let you in."
And Stuart made me laugh. I think it was Stuart who said something along the lines of, "And we'll be back, but in greater numbers." As if we were going to storm the place.
It honestly, it doesn't even look like it fell into disrepair so much as just Sainsbury's or whoever owns it now are obviously just like, let's knock this, let's do it up, you know?
Yeah.
Which is really sad in one way, but in another way, you're kind of like, well, it did look the same for about 40 years. So, they're within their rights.
Which is the point that I was making. Like you were very lucky to go a few years ago and be able to go in and see it as is. Like, if people are planning to go to Milton Keynes, I would probably say to go sooner soon, rather than later, because some of these places might just change. The change is probably long overdue, to be fair. So you mightn't have too long left to go in and see the locations in the state that they were at the time, or in close proximity to the way they were back in 1987. We were still very lucky to see the amount we did.
Absolutely.
But I would have loved to have seen the lobby of the hotel as well. Such an iconic scene, and of course you've got the step outside that Christopher Reeve takes off from.
Or does he?
Or possibly his stunt double, as we learnt as we learnt on the trip. Yeah, you can tell that.
I would have always said, this is the plinth or the step or whatever you want to call it. This is the exact spot where Christopher Reeve takes off from. But Martin.
So we're talking about the scene where, like you said, the usher Clark intentionally gets up on the baggage trolley. He runs out. Lacey's going up in the elevator, and the music swells. He takes the glasses off in the lobby. He runs out. I noticed when I was watching it yesterday, I never noticed it before, the kind of a doorman who can clearly see that he's taken off the glasses and running out the door.
All it takes is a magic kiss, Alan.
That's all it takes. He gets into the back of a car and he gets out the other side, steps up onto this kind of stone plinth and takes off.
Yeah, you can't tell me that's not a great Superman moment. Like that is moment. Fantastic.
Yeah, probably one of my favorite moments.
That whole sequence. We'll get into the movie in a while. That whole sequence, just secret identity porn, brilliant. But yeah, so according to Martin, that's an old-fashioned movie magic switcheroo. It's all happening in camera. Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent gets in one door, and then the guy who comes out the other door is his stuntman, whose name escapes me.
Mark, I can't think of his surname. Mark, I think it's his first name. But if you watch the sequence, when Christopher Reeve, because I watched it again yesterday, when Christopher Reeve gets into the back of the car and Superman gets out, when Clark gets into the back of the car and Superman gets out, his face is kind of obstructed by the hotel logo on the glass pane of the door.
Very good.
So you can't really see that it's not him. And it looks identical to him. Like I looked at it about 10 times last night and I couldn't tell whether it was him or not.
I love that. According to, and apologies, we don't have the name of this. Someone tell us, we'll put it in the show notes. But according to Martin, that stuntman so resembled Christopher Reeve that like they were able to use him in kind of, almost mid shots, like where you could almost see him up close, like, and that there's bits in the Great Wall of China scene where it's him that takes off, and like they use him all over the movie apparently.
Now the scene, watching it yesterday, the scene where he grabs the girl and flies her back after she falls off the Great Wall of China, I watched it on my 4K physical for the first time yesterday, and you can tell that that's not Christopher in that one shot.
Okay,
you can see that it's him. I think it's just the fact that it's 4K and it clears it up so much. But it was the first time that I've ever watched that scene and been like, oh, that's the stunt double. But like it's indistinguishable in the earlier scene of the hotel.
For all the crime Superman 4 commits, I think we'll give them that one. I don't think that's a heinous crime. But no, like such a cool photo op, and we were all jumping off it and just making idiots of ourselves, and it just felt really good to be able to do that. And that was kind of all the locations. We got a bite to eat then after that, as we mentioned. Then we went to this was more just a bit of fun. We went to the National Sci-Fi Museum, it's the Film and Sci-Fi Museum, which is in Milton Keynes, and it has a bunch of film props and kind of stuff from franchises and stuff like that. And talk to me about that place, Alan. What did you think of it? And let's be honest here.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I didn't know if it was going to be like an actual museum where they had a lot of suits in kind of glass cases and stuff, and you were going around through a kind of very curated exhibit. It wasn't really that. It was kind of the upstairs of, again, what I like, almost like a bowling alley kind of a building. And we went up the stairs. There's an arcade on one side. There's a Lego workshop or something on the other side. And we went in. You go into the gift shop. We had pre-booked the tickets. You get a wristband, and we walked in. And it's kind of like it's an array of air quote screen used props and some replicas.
Air quotes there, Alan.
Air quotes, strong air quotes there, because like I have no doubt that there is legitimately some screen used props and stuff in there. Yes. I would question some of the stuff there as well.
Correct.
To be quite honest, the one thing that jumps to my mind straight away would be the Batman '89 cowl that was labelled as screen used and worn by Michael Keaton, and I just had questions.
It literally looked like something you'd buy in Forbidden Planet. Like it looked absolutely perfect. It looked like it was no older than maybe 2 or 3 years, and the logo was just, if to anyone who knows Batman '89 as well as I do, for anyone for whom it is painted in their mind, like we all know that the exact shade of yellow that logo has. This was like more of a darker orange.
No,
and like there are flaws in that logo. Like one kind of bat foot is kind of thinner than the one on the other side, and none of those flaws were evident here. Like this
I wouldn't hold that against
perfect.
it though. I wouldn't hold that against it though, because those logos clicked in and clicked out. So it might have been the case that you can buy, you get your hands on the cowl without the logo attached, and you replace that part.
As Paul Rogers, who is like a foremost authority on Batman '89, like he made the point that like those cowls were made of latex rubber. Like they're all in various states of disrepair by now. They kind of crumble away, or there's creases in them. You can tell that they are as old as they are. That was just not evident here. This didn't even look like it was the same material. No. And the other thing you can definitely see, like in the Axis Chemical scene, when you're looking up at Batman's mask, you can see he has nostrils in the mask.
Yes.
This mask did not have nostrils, Alan.
No.
So we were fairly convinced that was not the case. And then the further we made it into the museum, there was a lot of stuff where we're like, okay, you're saying that you have a screen-used version of Captain Pike's laser gun from the unaired pilot of Star Trek, or like Captain Pike's communicator, or the Nomad from the Changeling from TOS is just sitting there.
That was another prime example. There was no way that was the Nomad from TOS.
It's just sitting there gathering dust. It's not even in a display case, and again, it's like
in
perfectly
perfect condition.
Pristine.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it, man. And but to your point, like it was a charming place. It was £15 to go in. A bit of money, but not over the top expense wise.
That £15 should have granted you access into the arcade as well. You had to pay for £15.
That's fair.
I think that's where.
But like to talk about the positive stuff, like there was stuff there from kind of more obscure stuff that I really appreciated. There was stuff from a series called Blake 7, which I think is a badass series from the BBC. There was a lot of Doctor Who stuff there.
Star Wars. There was a lot of Star Wars stuff.
There was Star Wars stuff, and I was kind of like, I kind of believe some of this Star Wars stuff, not all of it. Like there was a damaged Yoda arm prop, and I was like, that probably is real. Like, because
there was a like Chewbacca. It should be, there was a life-size Chewbacca suit that looked very real to me, and it looked, unlike the Batman cowl, this thing looked like it was 50 years old. Yeah, you know what I mean. So like you see, they had a Darth Vader, kind of the top half of Darth Vader's suit, the shoulders up, say. And like that also looked like it was about 40 years old. There was markings on it. You could see things peeling off it. You could see rust on the hinges for the shoulders, things like that. So that, there was obvious signs of age and wear and tear. A lot of the costumes, they had a lot of Star Trek costumes and stuff hanging up there that were just kind of out and gathering dust. I thought that was a bit kind of odd that they're not kind of more protected and things. But again, like for 20 minutes, for 15 quid to go in and have a look at some of this stuff, I did take a sneaky photo of the replica of the Enterprise D that they had, just because I've never seen anything, kind of a bigger version.
I don't even remember. Are you sure you're not thinking of the Discovery?
No, the Enterprise D. They had a massive Enterprise D there.
Will you send me a photo? I don't remember that.
Yeah. I took a sneaky photo of that. He was strictly like you.
How do you feel about that particular ship on him?
You know me. I'm a big D man, Rob. I'm a big D man, and I'm all about the D. But
that's what I thought. I knew you were a fan of the D. It's what you like to do. It's where you like to be. You like to hold it. You like to look at it. You like to admire it. These jokes were coming thick and fast all weekend. We felt guilty by the end of it because we just kept talking about how much Alan liked the D.
Look, if I was to give the guy who runs the museum a little bit of advice, I would say maybe lecturing the customers as soon as they come in about how you don't, under any circumstances, allow photos, and then kind of following them around and shouting at them about taking photos is probably not the best. Is not the best way to run it. I would imagine you made the point as well. I would imagine he when someone asked him, I think someone asked him, well, why can't we take photos? And he was like, oh, it's a copyright issue. Look, it's probably more so the fact that he doesn't want someone like Paul or Neil or whoever, or even us, taking a photo of his Batman 89 cowl, sticking it online and going, look, this is bullshit. Comparing it to the Screen one stuff.
Is the lesson there not just don't lie? If you want to put up a cool replica, put up a cool replica. No one's going to judge you for that. Like, celebrate the things that are real. Don't lie about stuff that isn't real, because people like us are going to podcast about it.
I did like the gift shop to a certain extent. They had a gift shop. They sold a lot of retro toys, like really old stuff, like old kind of real Ghostbusters, Star Trek toys from like throughout the 70s, 80s and 90s. They had He-Man, Masters of the Universe stuff. We found a Flash figure from the John Wesley Ship series, a vintage one of those. Like there was a lot of cool stuff there. A little bit overpriced, but look, you have to kind of accept that when you're in these places too.
What did we not find any trace of in the museum at all? In Milton Keynes,
in the museum that is in the city that was the filming location for Superman 4.
Not only that, because Neil did a bit of research in this, we're pretty sure Superman 4 is one of the only films that has been filmed in Milton Keynes at all. Yeah. So it's not just like it was, this film was also filmed. It's one of the only films that was filmed there. And what do they have from Superman?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Not only do they have nothing from Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, they had nothing Superman related at all.
Anywhere.
Like no props, no replicas, no set photos, no storyboards. Even 89 got it like a storyboard wall at Batman 89. They didn't have any toys, any vintage toys, any of the old Kenners, nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing.
If you can't get your hands on stuff, fair enough, that's grand. But like, do a little wall with a few photos and like the history of Superman and Milton Keynes. Like, give people a bit of information, because it's still so amazing that happened. It's right there in your town and you're doing nothing with it.
Now, did someone not say to us that the previous time that they visited it, it did have certain things?
Yeah,
that seemed to have been removed.
They had some newspapers, none of which were from Superman 4, which again is hilarious. They had some newspapers, and I think they had one of those models that the dummy models that they use in some of the flying shots. I think they also had that. Now, I don't know, maybe that was from Superman 4. But again, I just think, like, have literally a wall dedicated to this, just full of newspaper, like real life newspaper headlines with all the, Superman comes to the UK, all that stuff that exists. And like, Martin has it. It's on his website. Check it out. Cape Wonder UK or supermania.com. Like, all of that stuff is out there. All you need to do is get Martin Lakin on the phone and get that going in there, because I just thought that was crazy. Like, I think we sort of hoped against hope that maybe they might have a costume or something like that, but nothing.
Even some of those Quest for Peace, when the Daily Planet kind of turns into a tabloid rag and they have that different version of the Daily Planet.
Warfield Publications,
as a town in general, like maybe we think that it's more important than it is. I don't know.
I think, but like
they don't really own it, from what I could see.
No.
I would have thought a little plaque somewhere around the train station or at some of the sites, going filming locations or whatever, that you have a little tour guide going, anything at all. Even like we're probably looking for too much for a statue of Christopher Reeve in the middle of the square, Rocky style or whatever, but just kind of something just to acknowledge it, because I think they're passing up on a bit of tourism with it.
I on the one hand, I think it's Superman 4. It's, nobody loves you but me, Superman 4 type situation. Maybe they. But on the other hand, I've literally been to Niagara Falls. I've been to the News Building in the great city of New York. I've been, where else have I been? But, well, those two come to mind, right? Niagara Falls especially. Like, millions of people go there every year. It's one of the most iconic tourism locations on the planet, right? And when you go to Niagara Falls, they have a picture of Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder talking about how the film Superman 2 was filmed there. You know, like, so if they can do it, and then similarly in the News Building, you walk in, that incredible, like, just breathtakingly beautiful globe, which appears in Superman the movie, is still there in real life. You can go and see it. And on the wall in the lobby is a picture of Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder. It's like, what are we doing, fella? This is Milton Keynes. This is just it's just a shop. It's just a supermarket. By all means, they should put a little plaque there, a little picture just next to the train station. Just do it.
Personally, like, if I was designing a statue or something, I would literally have a statue of Superman walking across the square with Jeremy. Like in the exact location that they walked, and people, I don't care if it was Superman 7. I think people would come and look at it, but like that might be a bit much. But I know recently I was talking to Tom Elliott, you know, he was from the Twilight Zone podcast. He was on there at Halloween talking about Deceased, and himself and Zach went over to New Jersey, where Rod Serling is from, and they've recently erected a statue. Now, again, that's Rod Serling's hometown. I get that. That's a very different thing. But I just think they're missing a trick here.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. But like, let it not be said that the trip ended on a downer note, because first of all, we did enjoy the museum, and we probably would recommend going. Like, if you're going to go to Milton Keynes and you've done all the
check
locations,
it out. Yeah, 100%.
It's a fun little thing to do while you're still on a bit of a nerdy high, right? But
I'd recommend it just for the gift shop, because you don't have to pay for the gift shop, and go in and see some retro toys that you can pick up. Like, I think that Flash figure was like £45. A lot of the Playmates Star Trek stuff was like £30-40. So, like, a little bit higher than what you probably pay online, but again, gift shop prices.
So then we finished up the trip, and this was one of the things I think that I really wasn't expecting and really blew me away. We went back to the Costa where we'd met all the lads to begin with.
Costa became our de facto headquarters.
It was the Fortress of Solitude for this bunch of nerds, all wearing Superman t-shirts.
How many of us? About 20 of us?
I think there 15, was 15 or 16 or 17, yeah.
Okay.
But we come back to the Costa, and Martin just has this box full of stuff. And he just produces, first of all, he produces a full red binder with a full storyboard script, uncut script for Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, with every single storyboard, the entire script with all the stuff that was deleted. Yeah. And he, according to legend, Martin found this in a skip in Elstree Studios. It was being thrown away. And Martin was like rummaging through the skips. He found this, and it is priceless, this thing he has. We were leafing through it, taking photos, looking at all the things.
Yeah.
I have long suspected that the bit in the script where the Great Wall of China, where it says a blur of motion and the wall is rebuilt, I've always had this theory that people just read that and went, oh, so how is he supposed to fix the wall? I don't know. Let's just give him brick vision. But apparently, looking at these storyboards, I'm dead wrong. Superman was literally supposed to rebuild the wall brick for brick at super speed. That's literally drawn as a storyboard. Never knew that before. Blew my mind. We were leafing through that, and then Alexi Lamley Steele, Alan. He
opened up a bag. Pulls out
a recycling bag from Aldi, Alan. I think it was. What did he pull out?
He pulled out a screen-worn, and not a sci-fi museum air quote screen-worn, an actual screen-worn, labels and all, tunic, Nuclear Man tunic.
It was, and it literally on the label it said Mark Pillow flying suit, and it had the name of whatever costumer. Alan, you can smell Princess Diana's perfume on this thing from when Mark Pillow met her at the premiere. It is a thing of beauty. It's tiny. When you hold it in your hands, it's so tiny because it's made of spandex. So you put it on Mark Pillow, it stretches right out.
It stretches out, yeah.
But yeah, it blew my mind holding that thing.
Beautiful, absolutely stunning. And, you know, he handed it around. We all got to hold it.
I couldn't believe he was letting us all just hold it. Like,
yeah, it was just a piece of history. He, like, as well as that, he took out some stunt glasses that Clark Kent wore, that Christopher Reeve wore. I don't know. I never asked him if it was from which film it was from, if it was from 4 or one of the other films. But like, they had no glass in them on purpose because they were stunt glasses. Like, they were amazing. He took out a little photo album of behind the scenes photos, like you'd have a family album from the 80s or 90s, and it was all behind the scenes photos that I had never seen before, from the making of Superman 4. Kind of just Christopher Reeve hanging out, back behind set and behind camera and all sorts of stuff. It was just incredible.
I don't know if this was Martin's or Alexi's, but someone was handing around the stunt crew jacket as well.
Oh.
A flying unit stunt crew jacket with a big Superman 4 patch in the back. Just absolutely beautiful. It was extra large. I tried it on and it like just about fit me. So yeah. I think extra large meant something different in those days, but gorgeous thing to have in great condition.
Yeah.
Looked absolutely great. We all got to try it on. There's photos of us holding that. And then the gifts started coming, Alan.
Yeah, couldn't believe it. So we were told, Martin kind of let us in. He was like, oh, look, at the end of the day, we're going to hand out some gifts and stuff. So I was, half expecting like a pin or a badge.
I didn't even hear him say that. I didn't realize.
Yeah, he said it. And I was like, so I thought, we might get a couple of pins or badges or whatever. And we did. We got, I got Cape Wonder badge. I got a Cape Wonder Supermania 78 badge. We appreciate them all. Lovely. But then, he just opened up this magic bag that just didn't seem to end and handed out
like Santa
these
Claus's
amazing pieces. Sack. It was like Santa Claus's sack from the famous Santa Claus movie that the Salkinds made. And it just kept going. So at first, anybody who
I was expecting Burgess Meredith to come out at one stage.
At first, we got this. Everybody who went got this beautiful black and white photo, kind of Christopher Reeve and Jeremy and the crowd standing outside of the UN building, the Milton Keynes train station from back in the day. Absolutely stunning image, beautiful. We all got it kind of like printed on a hardback. It was just beautiful, and they kept coming. There was prints, there was various promotional cards. I got a beautiful photo of Mark Pillow and Christopher Reeve and Gene Hackman standing on the balcony before the Superman Nuclear Man fight takes place. And it's obviously a promotional.
I didn't realise you got that, and now I'm going to fight you to the death.
Hang on, we can cut this out. Hang on, I'll just get it here. I have it here behind me. So I got this beautiful image.
He's holding that up. Alan, how dare you? Send that to me in the post now, and we'll speak no more of it. I should have got that.
Stunning. Has the Canon logo at the bottom, the name of the movie and everything. It's just absolutely beautiful. Jim Bowers was extremely generous as well. He sent everybody who came over this beautiful. I don't want the technical term for it, because a photograph just doesn't do it justice. It's like this super glossy hardback image of Superman, Christopher Reeve standing in New Mexico, from Superman the movie, and it is absolutely a thing of beauty. It's beautiful.
This is something you'd put in your living room. It's so nice. Like it's like the background is. The depth of field, or I don't even know how you describe it, but it someone mentioned that it looks like a hologram, but not quite a hologram. It's like it's so glossy and so sharp to look at, and it even the way his eyes are looking at you, it's like the Mona Lisa. It's like he follows you around the room.
It's absolutely stunning. I'm holding it up here for Rob. It's just beautiful. And then they had individual images printed out on this kind of hardback as well, and I got a absolutely stunning image, and it was because of you. You were sitting closer to Martin when he was handing the stuff out, and I was kind of sitting down the back a little bit, and all I heard was, "Oh, Alan would love that," and my ears picked up, and it's just this beautiful image of Helen Slater, Supergirl. It's the scene where she's using her heat vision to open the daisy. And the image is her standing on the riverbank. The daisy is open. She's kind of standing to the side, and it's this kind of panoramic view behind her. It's all in black and white. And even when I brought it home and showed Stacey was like, "Oh my God, that's gorgeous." And it is. It's genuinely a thing of absolute beauty. I love it.
And it was a case that Martin was literally pulling stuff out of this bag going, "Does anybody want this?" And it was whoever spoke up first. And I was like, "Oh no, Alan would love that," because you had that lovely story a while back about watching Supergirl with your daughter and her friend Maya, and I just thought, oh, that's brilliant. He should have that. So yeah, no, and like he just kept pulling stuff up. He had stuff from the animated series. He had a bunch of stuff from Superman Returns, and there was this one younger guy there. He was the son of another guy.
Craig Suter's son, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a huge Superman Returns fan. He was like, "Oh, I'll take that." And yeah, he went home with a stack full of Superman.
His
Returns.
giddiness was palpable. He was. I was so delighted. It was great to see someone with a love for that movie. The way this kid honestly feels about Superman Returns the way we feel about Superman the movie and Superman 2 and 3 and 4. He just absolutely loves it.
And he was wearing a Superman Returns t-shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. And you picked up some nice pieces yourself, didn't you?
I did. I got we'll talk about this when we get into the movie, but I got a picture of Superman and Lois at Lacey's apartment, which I really like. I got the one of Jeremy and Superman as well. I got the really glossy Jim Bowers one, which I'm so grateful for. He obviously sent those over at great expense. My God, like incredible. And I the trading cards I loved. We got a couple of genuine trading cards, and then there's this like fan-made Superman 5 trading card.
Yeah,
go back to our episode about the Superman 5 script, and we did one with Zach as well. Brilliant stuff. But I was just blown away by not only being able to marvel at all this stuff with like-minded people, which is great, but also just the generosity. Like, we did not it's really important to state here. We were just people who went along. We didn't pay for any of this.
No.
We didn't expect any of it. Like, we didn't pay a ticket to go to this. The only thing we paid for was our flights and our hotel. Everything else we did there, and the National Sci-Fi Museum. Everything, like the time we spent with Martin and Andy and Alexi and all the guys, like that was all free of charge. And it was we only were given this stuff because we're such huge fans of the Reeve Superman movies. And I was just blown away by that, and it was just so incredible.
If you live in the UK, the only thing this would have cost you is the price of the fuel to drive to Milton Keynes.
Like Neil Riggison had a 20-minute drive. Like, he went home a rich man.
You know what I mean? So like, that's fantastic, and it's just the generosity. And there was a lot of kind of like, the group was 15, 16, 17 people. And throughout the day, people kind of ended up in little smaller groups as we were walking from location to location. And there was multiple conversations and multiple chats going on at the same time. And more than once, I just heard people speaking to just the warmth of the community, that compared to what you read about online in terms of other fandoms or whatever, even the Superman fandom when it comes to certain aspects or whatever, that it's just such a warm, welcoming, like there was nothing but good vibes and just people chatting about something they loved and spending time together and embracing it, and it was lovely. It was really, really nice.
And it was there was so much like packed into one day as well. Like it felt like we'd been there for a few days, and we'd gone through and we'd gotten to know people so well, and it was amazing. Like, I went on, because it was very stressful for me trying to get this across the line. Yeah. I was working the day before, and I was working very early the day after, and it was, and there was a point like where I was kind of like, oh God, I'm going to miss the flight now, and I'm going to have to get up really, really early and catch the first one, and Alan's going to be pissed off, and like all of that was going through my head the day before, and but no, it all went off without a hitch, and I just went home with a huge smile on my face, going, my God. Like, thank God for this community, and thanks to all the incredible people who make it so great.
Yeah.
And thanks to Milton Keynes, Alan.
And thanks for Milton Keynes for having us. And, that's not the first Super Events UK event. I'm sure there will be more events as it goes on. But I would highly, we won't make it to everyone, obviously, but I would highly recommend that if you can make it over to one of their events, that you do, because you'll be welcomed, and it's just a great experience.
And honestly, like I've done it twice now, but I am kind of like, if they threw an event like that again, and like there was other people going, like I know we've a lot of other UK fans like James Paul Bishop and Daniel Martle, and like there's a bunch of other guys that I'd love to meet who've followed the podcast for years and write us these lovely letters and stuff, and there's so many more of those people that I'd love to meet that I'm like, if they do another one of these things, like it'd be great to just go along again, to be honest.
Yeah, and I know there is whispers of them trying to organise something for 2028 for the 50th anniversary of Superman the movie. There's talk of Jim Bowers maybe even coming over and stuff. Like, we're a long way off any of that yet. But again, it's definitely something that I'd be interested in, 100%.
So what I wanted to do as well is, obviously we literally went on a journey with Superman 4 over the past few days. I have been talking for a number of years about how much I love the movie, first of all, and also we've spoken at length about the deleted scenes, the missing material, what might have been, what could still be. There's a great fan edit I often mention, the quest for coherence. Where they take everything that is available, however shoddy it looks, and that, by the way, includes the full uncut Alexander Courage John Williams score, which you can find on Spotify, which has all the tracks for scenes that we've never seen, and that has all that put back in there. So all this stuff exists and is all out there. I know you traditionally have not really liked or not loved Superman 4. I want to talk to you. I know you've watched it in the last few days. Talk to me about your feelings on the film now, having been to Milton Keynes, having gone through all this stuff.
Yeah, look. I'm not going to lie. It's still my least favorite of the Christopher Reeve movies. As you know, as I've said numerous times here, 3 because is the one that I grew up with and that I go back to so much, that I watched so much as a kid. For that reason alone, the nostalgia value of 3, it's probably my favorite. Even though Superman the movie is the Oscar picture as such, and 2 is a fantastic sequel. I know loads of people love 2, and I love 2 as well. 4 obviously is a very flawed film, but I have to say, yesterday, so we got back, what day is it today? Today's Monday. We got back very late Saturday night. I got home around 1 a.m, 1:15 in the morning, Sunday morning. And yesterday evening, I had a family function yesterday. I sat down and I put on The Quest for Peace for the first time on my 4K physical set. I have the Steelbook set. Picked it up there about 2 years ago. I had never taken 4 out. And put it on and just kind of sat back and really just tried to watch it.
The Alan Burke sit back.
The sit back test. And just kind of look at it through the lens of, right, what exactly... I know what this was meant to be, but what exactly is it, and how would I improve it, or what would I think would need to be done to improve it? And I have to say, you've made a point for a long time that you prefer 4 over 3 for many reasons. One of them being it's the most, it's the one with the better message. Is something that you've said. I think.
Yeah, it's more that it's the one with the most substantial emotional journey for Superman. There should not be nuclear war. Like that's a pretty kind of obvious message for a film to have. It's more the journey that Superman goes through emotionally. I think of all 4 of the films, I think it's actually the best in that regard. Like, we can get into that as we go on.
And there is merit to that. Like, it is a deeply thought film because, well, for a number of reasons. One of the biggest ones everybody knows is that the budget was literally cut in half. Canon bought it, and they chopped it up, and they released a kind of an extremely edited down version of a film that they had taken half the budget away from to siphon it off towards Masters of the Universe and other projects that they were doing at the time, as was their business plan. As I watched it yesterday,
by the way, sorry, sorry to keep cutting. I feel like I'm cutting across you a lot tonight.
Not at all.
People always say that, right? Oh, Canon, they went with a poster and they said, look at this poster, and they got financing for a movie, and then they used that money to pay. That's literally what Marvel do now. So, let's all get off our high horse and say, oh, these ridiculous cowboys from the 80s, thank God movies aren't made that way anymore. That's literally what Kevin Feige stands up and does now. He points at the screen and goes, look at all these amazing movies. Look at the Inhumans, Alan. Look at, fucking Zack Snyder's Shazam, all these ridiculous movies that never got made, so we're still doing that now. Sorry. But
I watched it with open eyes yesterday, and I did enjoy it. My point would be that I think, and I'm going to say fix it, but to improve the film, I think it would vastly be improved with some very minor edits throughout the film.
So talk to me about those edits.
Okay. So, I understand, and I don't want to name names or get into it. I understand that people have, reworked scenes. They've changed things in scenes. They've added CGI and AI to scenes and all kind of stuff to kind of reshape it and improve it and all that kind of stuff. I don't really agree with any of that. I don't think we need to do any of that. As well as that, I watched, I'd say maybe 70% of The Quest for Coherence as well yesterday. there's a lot of putting stuff back into that film that I think shouldn't be put back into that film. And I'm going to be straight honest here. I think all the Clive Mantle stuff is absolutely atrocious. Like, I think it's all terrible. And I understand that was the original vision for the film.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was taken out, for whatever reason it was taken out, I think is for the better. By and large, it's for the better. I don't think those scenes work, any of them at all. Any of the scenes with him conversing, again, air quote, conversing with Lex Luthor. And it's great to see Superman fighting outside the Metro Club, but again, it just doesn't work.
Okay. Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
I first of all, I agree about Clive Mantle, and it's no disrespect to him, by the way. I think
absolutely not.
The whole way that those scenes were envisioned is just off. It just feels wrong. Like, it's this kind of kiddie comedy version of Frankenstein that isn't very funny and isn't very scary either. And it sort of looks kind of funky in 80s and sort of, but it just feels very cringy to watch. But what I would like to say though is I do love Gene Hackman in those scenes.
Yes.
I think he is a lot of fun to watch, and some of his best, I've said so many times, the best parts of Superman 4 that were deleted are all Gene Hackman stuff.
Yeah. So Gene was on fire throughout the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that.
So while I would kind of agree that I think the Clive Mantle stuff has to go, there's so much Gene Hackman that you lose.
I think the price that you have to pay for the Clive Mantle stuff is too high. I think it's too high.
Yeah.
Like the Metro Club scene, I did an episode with Martin Lakel a few months ago about the rediscovered Metro Club scene. It's great to have it. It's nice to be able to see it. Any chance to see Christopher Reeve playing Clark Kent and Superman is great. Again, I don't think it works. I think it's a lot of it is very silly. I wouldn't be putting that back into the picture either. When I say small edits, I literally mean some effect shots. I would rip out any of the footage of any that reused footage that they use over and over and over again of Christopher Reeve flying towards the screen. It's overused again and again. You see it when it happens.
Sorry, this is my question I had for you. What do you made the point, small edits, minor tweaks. What do you use instead of those? Because that's not a small edit or a minor tweak if it's stuff that we don't have.
What do you mean?
So you're saying you get rid of all the bad flying shots of Superman. What do you use instead of those?
You leave in the in-camera shots of Christopher Reeve in those scenes. So say, like, there's no need to see, the opening scene, we have the astronauts on the space station or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The first shot we have of Superman is him flying directly at the astronauts. It's a terrible shot of him flying directly towards the screen. Just remove that. The first time you see Superman is the in-camera shot of him just approaching the space shuttle and stopping it from spinning. Then you have another in-camera shot of him flying after the astronaut, which looks great, flying back with the astronaut, which also looks great, putting him into the shuttle and then flying back to Earth. You literally just whip that one bad shot out of it. It doesn't make any difference.
I'm not convinced. Just having sat in edits, like, I'm thinking of you're missing a wide shot there. You're missing just something to bridge the two sequences there. You're going from a shot from behind where you're only seeing his back.
You have
nothing to cut the music to. I think you need a shot there where Superman is flying towards the camera and you can see.
Do you think?
Oh, you 100% do. Just having been in edits like so many times, like I've cut over 25 minutes or 25 hours of television over the years. You would absolutely need a shot to bridge.
But could you not just have him approach the shot where he flies over and stops the space shuttle or whatever it is, the space station from spinning, and then he does that with very little music, and then as he flies off to get the astronaut, that's when you bring the music in. So you literally
have dun 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 dun. That's the crap shot, right? And by the way, I agree, it's crap.
Yeah,
that dun 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 dun. That's him rising towards the camera.
Yeah.
And then you cut to like the back of his feet and the back of his cape, which absolutely I agree, it looks 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times better. I don't see how that's your opening shot of Superman. I struggle with that.
Oh, I think I prefer it over what we have. I
prefer it over but like, just in terms of an edit, that would be broken. Like, it's like Superboy. Like, if you just relied on all the wire work, as great as that would be, you'd be missing stuff. Like,
I don't know. Like, if you go to the scene where where he steps out of the phone booth and takes off after the subway, I don't think that, like, I think all that works. Like, all that scene, I think is fairly okay. The only things I would whip out of that is the images of the people flying by at super speed that Lois kind of sees. Like, you don't need that. It doesn't work. And I would definitely cut out, again, the scene where...
the scene where, the bit where Lois is in the thing and she sees the flash of colour and she goes, Superman, you get rid of that?
No, not that. No. I would leave that in. I would cut out the scene where it looks like the people on the train are flying past. Like, what is she looking at there? Is it that the people are flying past? Is she looking at the back of them? It's what makes her notice. It's what makes her notice that the train is out of control. I would cut that out. She screams. She knows the train's out of control. He goes into the box. He takes off. Everything is fine. Cut out the shot of him going past the people who aren't looking at him. And the next shot you have of him is him just stepping off and putting his foot on the railway track and stopping the train. Just take that one shot out of it. I don't think there's any need to do this big elaborate reworking where we're adding in scenes and adding in special effects or any of that stuff.
I cannot disagree enough that I think you're by the way, I'm not saying I agree that we should be altering scenes either. I have so much respect for Aaron Price and what he does, but I think I think part of what gives Superman 4 its charm to me is that we know how it was filmed and why it was filmed where it was and stuff like that. And I think when you remove that, you're taking something away from that charm. I get that not everybody has that same charm for it, but I think just fundamentally in terms of editing, it's turning into George Reeves now, where it's just like Superman is here one second and he's here the next, and those I'm sorry, man, I don't think those edits will work.
Shots.
You're gonna chop John Williams' music out to pieces. I don't think the flow of it. It's like seeing someone walk across a room, open a door, and then the next time you see them, they're sitting down at the couch. You need to see them enter the room and sit down on the couch.
I think if you're on the train and you see Superman fly by, and then he's in front of the train,
we don't see him fly by in your version, though.
No, you do. You still see Lois see him fly by the window. You just don't see all that weird janky shots of the people. There's these shots in that sequence where it looks like the people on the train are moving very fast, and it never made sense to me even as a kid, because obviously the people in the train would be moving at the same speed as Lois. They're on the same train. It doesn't make any sense. I would whip that out. She still sees him flying by, and she goes, Superman. And then the next shot is him just putting his foot on the railway line in front of the train and stopping it.
Assuming that most of your, am I right in saying most of your edits then are just special effects you don't like, and you just chop them out altogether?
Special effects I don't like. I would like the big one where I think you would really have to do some proper work on it is you'd have to change a lot of the background plates in relation to Lois and Superman's flight. I mean, that doesn't work either. That whole thing when they jump off the building looks awful. You'd have to fix that some way, like to make it look contemporary, obviously. But that is probably the only scene where I really think that you'd have to kind of do some additional work there to make that work. Yeah, the story.
And by the way, that I would qualify maybe not a minor tweak unless you have the original green screen rushes. Because if you have the original green screen rushes, that is a minor tweak. You literally just play different footage behind them. Now, I would want it, I underline this with, I would want that to be authentic footage from the 80s. And
1,000%.
Not like Richard Donner cut, where they clearly got stock footage from 2004.
1,000%.
And it sticks out like a really, really sore thumb.
Yeah.
It's got to be stuff from the time.
Absolutely. I would thoroughly agree with you. I don't really have any issues with the story or the character development as it is. The scene on the balcony is very, very strong. Yeah. What blew me away, because I really stopped and watched it yesterday, was the scene where Lois comes and visits him in the apartment and he's sick. Yeah. And she sits down and she speaks to him. It's one of the greatest Clark Kent Lois Lane scenes that I've ever seen. And I think growing up with it, I was like, well, this film doesn't work. This is only corny or whatever. But really sitting down and watching it, I am absolutely convinced in that scene, whether they intended for it or not, she knows that he's Superman in that scene.
Bingo, bango, baby.
No one's going to convince me otherwise. She is, whether she realizes it or not fully herself, she is sitting in that room and she's like, I don't know why, I just knew you'd be here, she says. And then she starts talking to him, telling him how important Superman is, hands him the cape for no reason. You know, I hope he knows I'll always be here for him. She fucking knows. That scene is incredible. That needs to stay.
100,000%.
The only issue plot-wise that stands out for me with that film is that it doesn't make sense. The whole nuclear man, Lacey Warfield thing doesn't make sense to me. I think that's a very, like, the big one that everybody talks about is how the hell does Superman know what nuclear man is talking about when he comes down and asks to see the woman? Because we ripped out all the nuclear man 1 stuff where he sees her in the nightclub and he falls in love with her, and that's meant to kind of carry over to nuclear man 2. It doesn't make any sense. Superman is sick. He rejuvenates himself. He comes back. I think minor edits. You take out the line where he asks about where the woman is. You just have nuclear man tearing up the city. You don't show Superman standing outside the building. You don't show any of the stuff of him conversing with nuclear man. You have nuclear man. Well, there's a shot there of nuclear man walking into the building where Christopher Reeve's not in it. You have him walk in. You cut the thing of Christopher Reeve getting into the elevator. You don't show that.
Can I stop you there before you go any further? Did you watch the scenes where Lacey offers herself up as bait and like nuclear man turns himself into a nuclear bomb and all that stuff?
Yeah, I just think it's all. I don't think you need it. I don't think you need any of that stuff. I think you show nuclear man in the theatrical cut where he flies up through the buildings, up through the floors of the Daily Planet. He rocks up, he goes over, he opens up the elevator, and the first time you see Superman is when he comes out from behind him and hits him in the back and knocks him in. Nuclear man has been attacking the city. He's gone into this building. Superman doesn't need to know why he's there. He just is there, and he takes the opportunity to kick him into the elevator and bring the elevator up onto the moon. Like
I disagree with you on all that, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. Yeah.
Either a quick few edits in that sequence, or a quick fucking ad lib where you re-record Mark Pillow saying something else.
Yeah.
Instead of instead of saying where's the woman, he says where's Lacey Warfield.
Now here's where I have to disagree with you here. Okay. So obviously we're both in agreement with Clive Mantle.
Mm-hmm.
I think the quick fix they do in the theatrical cut where nuclear man just looks at a newspaper and falls in love with Lacey that way. I've always thought, okay, they were in a bind. That's a fair enough compromise, right? They don't want to put Clive Mantle in. They can't explain all this stuff in time.
Yep.
He looks at a newspaper. He falls in love with her. It's a movie, right? We'll go with it, right? I think that's always been fine.
Yes.
But the crucial stuff I wouldn't want to lose, though, is Lacey. Like, I'm sorry. My whole thing with Lacey has always been the Metro Club thing needs to go, and the taxi scene at the end needs to go. 2 deleted scenes. Everybody always talks about them. People have said, "Oh, they
why
don't
you like the taxi scene?" Is it because
why don't I like the Metro Club? I want to tell you why. Right. So the Metro Club scene and the taxi scene both imply that Clark has a genuine relationship with Lacey that borders on romantic, right? And he even kisses her in the taxi at the end of the movie. Whereas I think the way the theatrical cut has it, where she's this kind of annoying broad who likes Clark Kent and he's trying to fob her off the whole time, and then maybe once or twice he shows her a moment of genuine compassion and she realizes from this, do you know what, maybe I've been a bit of a snob to people. Maybe I need to be a bit of a better journalist. Maybe I just need to, have a better attitude towards life. I think that's absolutely fine the way it is in the theatrical cut. And then it ends beautifully where she stands up to her dad and she goes, "Daddy, stuff it. The stuff we put on the papers has a real effect out there in the world." And sure enough, nuclear man flies up through the thing. And you realise that so much of what happened in this movie is because of the poor journalism of Warfield.
Mm-hmm.
Which is as relevant today as it was back then. I think that's all amazing. And in the deleted stuff, it's made even more powerful because Lacey, who is this selfish snob at the start of the movie, she agrees to work with Superman and realizes that this mad monster is in love with her, and she helps Superman. She acts as bait so that Superman can trap the monster. Meanwhile, we have all this news footage going on talking about the escalating tensions between East and West, and that all it's going to take is one other missile test and things are going to go haywire. So you have all this mounting tension, and Lacey agrees to put herself forward. Nuclear Man turns himself into an atomic bomb. Again, special effects are kind of not great in this whole bit, but it just feels way more epic and way more exciting, and it just gives Lacey something far more substantial to do than just be dangled under Nuclear Man at the end of the movie in space. You actually feel for her, you want her to survive, and you're like, yeah, way to go, Lacey. And again, it's an example of Superman having an effect on someone in the world, which I think is so valuable and so interesting, and it's part of why I like the recent movie, which I'll get back to very shortly.
Well,
that's where I'm like, no, that stuff's got to stay. Don't keep the taxi stuff, don't keep the Metro Club stuff, but keep all the Nuclear Man in love with Lacey stuff and her offering herself.
Yeah,
up.
well, I'm not saying you get rid of that, but what I'm saying is...
No, you are saying you get rid of that.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying
that. Go back and listen.
I'm saying that when he arrives on the issue I have with it is that there's a massive plot hole there where Superman knows exactly what Nuclear Man's intention is, and there's no way of fucking explaining that part of the story. And everybody who sits in there goes,
okay,
how does he know who he's talking about?
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, you remove that interaction with Superman and Nuclear Man on the street. You just show the shots of him attacking the city, attacking the building, and Clark showing up. But
you need that in order for the stuff I'm talking about. You need that because Nuclear Man has to be in love with Lacey in order for Lacey to put herself up as bait.
But why can't you just, instead of having the line, "Where's the woman?" Why can't you just have Mark Pillow ad-lib that, ADR that to "Where is Lacey Warfield?" And then that's explained. That's how Superman knows who he's talking about. And then everything carries on as normal.
And that's not a minor edit.
Or Gene Hackman, obviously. Yeah. Well, to be fair, I have to say, I thought Mark Pillow's voice wasn't too dissimilar.
And by the way, I still strongly suspect that certain Gene Hackman lines in the film aren't Gene Hackman. There's certain bits of ADR, similar in Superman 2, where they're clearly not him. I suspect there's a voice-alike situation there. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do the same thing again.
Yeah, there is a part when he's on the balcony talking to Superman, and he walks back to sit on the bench to explain the whole Nuclear Man thing, and he's speaking, and his mouth isn't moving for a second, and it doesn't really sound like him. I thought it sounded like someone added something in later on as well, so maybe that's true.
There's a bit where, and this is definitely a bit where they had to cut around the seams of stuff that they deleted, but Lex is cutting up the material that he's putting in the rocket, and he's like, we're going to recreate life itself. And your Uncle Lex, and it does not sound like Gene Hackman. It sounds like someone doing an impression. So.
But I think some kind of a quick ADR thing where he just goes, "Where's Lacey Warfield?" And then Superman knows.
And
he's
by the way, we
Lacey
said
Warfield.
ADR, not AI.
ADR, yeah, ADR.
Get someone to do an impression. Don't get a computer to do it.
Yeah, I honestly think that like a couple of, that's what I mean, small little things. I don't think we need to pull the whole thing apart and restitch it together to fix the issues that it has, because if you take the budgetary stuff out of it, I actually think it has very little issues.
Now, but before we get on to that though, is there any deleted stuff that you put back in?
Yes, I would. Well, see, it's deleted, but it's also not deleted. I don't see what was wrong with the tornado scene, that rescue. I thought that was epic. Yeah. I enjoyed a lot of the Soviet Union stuff, the rescue, even the stuff with Lex Luthor going, talking to the war criminals and the governments and stuff. I thought that was all good as well.
Like that is that they were foolish to delete that.
Yes, I think
Lex
I put all that back in.
Lex going to the Kremlin and saying world peace is just a capitalist plot, and then Lex going to the Pentagon and saying world peace is just a communist plot. They were fools to delete that.
Yeah, I think the I don't think there's anything wrong with that stuff. Like compared to the Clive Mantle stuff, which doesn't work, I think all that stuff does work. I grew up. We spoke about this on the trip. I grew up with the VHS copy where the tornado rescue, where Christopher Reeve rescues the child played by his own daughter, was included in the film on my VHS, as was the part where Nuclear Man points the nuclear missile at the Soviet Union leadership, say the military leadership, and Superman flies down and blows it out and points it back in the other direction. All that stuff looks great. I don't see why you couldn't have that stuff back in.
In terms of kind of more bigger character stuff, so you've already said, okay, so we kind of came to a bit of an impasse on the Lacey stuff. You kind of agree that a lot of the stuff I'm advocating for maybe should go back.
I don't really see the need to put in all the Nuclear Man turned into a bomb stuff and all that. I honestly think that some like a little bit of magic editing would kind of fix whatever problem already exists without having to go into that level of effort. Like if Warner Brothers were to kind of do an ultimate version where they're releasing it and fixing it, I think they could fix what they have very simply.
And by the way, sorry, I'm not in favor of that at all.
That's fair.
No, as in I don't want them to do that.
Okay.
Exactly what Martin Lakin has always been saying that they should do, which is just release what was shown to the test audience in 1987.
And leave it at that.
Which apparently was finished and was apparently ready to go. And you can listen to Sidney J. Furie on a podcast by our friend Ed Gross talking about them finishing off the post-production. And it sounds like he's finishing off the version that got hacked afterwards.
Yeah.
I've always just wanted to see that version, flaws and all. I'd never want to see anything like the Donner cut ever again.
That's fair.
These movies, now, and in fairness to the Donner cut, it literally wasn't finished. This sounds like it actually was finished, and it's like, why can't we just have that? You know, but I
did send you a message.
I live in fear. I live in fear of the reason Warner Brothers won't release it is because, well, we have to go back in and do that. No, you don't have to go back in and do anything.
Just release it the way it is.
The
That's
same
fair.
with the Schumacher. Anyway, sorry. Okay.
I messaged you yesterday when I was watching the Quest for a Coherence edit, and I was like, oh yes, exactly what this film needs, more Jeremy.
And that is a fine point. Talk to me about that.
The scene where Superman lands at the school, like it's just
bad, man.
It's awful. It's just
now
bad.
describe the scene. What is it? Because not everyone will have seen this.
So Jeremy is sitting in the classroom. So it's exactly the same day apparently as you wrote the letter, because they're all wearing the same clothes,
including the teacher.
The teacher. They couldn't even get her a new shirt. It's meant to be a few days, if not a few weeks later. Jeremy is sitting at the window, staring at the window like he is in the scene that's in the movie, and Superman flies by, and he's like, "What? And she's like, "You okay, Jeremy?" He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm just dreaming or something." And next thing, Christopher Reeve just walks into the classroom, and he's like, "Oh, I'd like to say a few words to the class, if that's all right." And the teacher's like, "Oh, everybody, Superman, close your books. Jeremy's friend Superman is here." And
she's like, "Class, we have a visitor."
We have a visitor.
Stating the obvious, like.
Yeah. And he walks directly over to Jeremy, and he explains why he can't interfere. Like, he took an oath or whatever to not interfere with human progress or whatever. Christopher is fine in it. He's not the worst. The worst thing is the teacher and Jeremy. I'm sorry. It's awful.
I mean, I don't think the teacher's that bad.
She is.
Jeremy, look. I actually do think this might have been a victim of the budget. Is like, we didn't have the time or the resources to get a better kid actor, because God bless him. Like, and I think the theatrical cut makes the right decision by chopping him right down. Because the extra stuff he's in this, it's just not good.
And I'm not, look, I don't want to get into the habit of shitting all over kids either. Like, you know,
your favorite movie is Superman 3 with little.
It
Ricky,
is,
so
you know. Ricky. Well, to be fair, I'm not a big fan of Ricky either. All the kids in the Superman franchise are terrible. But like, I listened to the actor. He's obviously an adult now, and he was talking on Jim and Jay's podcast before, and he was saying how they literally pulled him out of a classroom and offered him the role or whatever. And that's the finest. You know, I wish it had happened to me. But yeah, it just doesn't work. Like, the line delivery doesn't work. The scene feels totally flat. And
just to comment on something I was kind of alluding to there, Christopher Reeve is not the best in that scene either.
He's not the best.
He's doing that Shakespeare in the Park dialogue that you get in the Donner cut, where he's like, "The things you ask of me, Jeremy, these are things I just cannot do," and it's just like, I need to go now. My planet needs me. It's just not, the dialogue is not there. I don't know. Is this one of these scenes that he directed himself or something?
I found
I think they were right to delete it.
The teacher's ADR'd. Like, it's not the actress speaking. I don't care. I watched it a few times yesterday. It's really badly ADR'd. The voice doesn't match the actress
at all. Do you know
who
that actress is, by the way?
She does look. Is she in Kindergarten Cop?
Remember the hot admiral in the first and possibly second season of Star Trek Discovery?
No,
I think Captain Lorca.
Oh yes, is that her?
And then she blows up, I think, halfway through the season. Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
She's in Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is playing, obviously, the kindergarten teacher, and one of the kids is coming in with bruises, and the mother comes to collect him, and he goes out and beats the shit out of the father
and she's the mother.
She's the mother. Yeah.
Ah, that's a great scene. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you lose nothing by ripping it. Now, it is a bit of a kind of you have to kind of fill in the gaps yourself when it goes to Superman thinking about what to do, and then
Superman said yes.
Yeah, you know, Superman tells kid to drop dead, but you can put two and two together and figure out that Superman said no to him. Like, so I don't think it adds too much to it.
Yeah, look, it does tie the story better together, but it's just not a strong scene. Like, I don't know, and as you say, it looks like it's the same day. Did Superman fly around the world and go back in time for some reason again?
Well, he's meant to have been thinking about this for days. Like we see him thinking about it at the planet. We see him thinking about it in his apartment. We see him consulting with the Council of Elders in the Fortress of Solitude. And then it looks like he came back 5 minutes after the first scene with Jeremy. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and then Sidney J. Furie on Ed Gross's podcast, we hear him talk about nuances that were lost in the edit that they were kind of putting back in, and he talks about the end of the movie, and I want to ask you about this, the end of the movie where Superman and Jeremy fly up above the clouds, and he's like, oh, tell the people at home what you see, Jeremy, and Jeremy's like, oh, well, I see the sea and I see countries, but I don't see any borders. It's all just one world. And Sidney J. Furie literally talks about how, you can sit back and say that's corny, but I don't know. I think it's really special. I think we should keep that in the movie. And you're like, those are obviously arguments he was having with people. They're like, no man, you got to cut this.
You got to cut it.
It's too corny.
Christopher Reeve gets the point across in the speech. Like,
he does.
He gets it. It's like you said recently. It's probably one of the greatest Superman moments in the history of like live action Superman moments or whatever, where he gives that speech. Like we don't need that. Like I would be thinking, if there was a way that I could just cut Jeremy out of this movie altogether, I probably would, to be fair, but I don't think that would work.
I think you need him. I think
you need him in that scene he's in. No, cut that out. And like, again, special effects wise, very easy to fix the whole thing with Lacey being in space. Like, it's very easy to just change that that backdrop there with something else, a cityscape or a nighttime scape over a city or something.
Yeah, I think that's what Aaron Price has done. People are always like, oh, the budget envisioned. I feel like that's probably something they did envision. I feel like that's probably something they did intend to do, was that Superman and Nuclear Man fly into space.
I've seen Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel comment on this contemporaneously at the time. Going, well, apparently you can breathe in space now. Like, it didn't even make sense then. Like, all I'm saying is you could just change it to be a night sky instead of out in space. That's all. I think that would.
No, I agree, but I think we're getting into the weeds of like, let's just make the movie better, magically make the movie better. When it's like, no, I think that's probably what they were going to do, is that they were going to fly into space. And like, you look at the earlier movies, General Zod and Ursa are flat out talking on the moon. Nobody ever seems to have a problem with that. Like, that's impossible. All true. the magic crisscross, wacky dacky, jumpo, mumpo, crazy powers he has in Superman 2. Yeah, okay, people have a problem with that. I feel like the Reeve movies, okay, he's just got crazy extra dimensional powers. We don't fully understand them all.
His telekinesis it makes up for 90% of the new powers that they all have.
Sorry, if we're talking about stuff that we just cut out entirely, let's cut out the telekinesis, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Because the reason I would cut out the telekinesis is not that it's random and he has a new power. It's that, okay, well, if he has telekinesis, why is he not using it in all these other scenes? It's like, if he can activate a doorbell with his mind, or he can lower people that Nuclear Man is like, he should be doing that stuff all the time. Like Superman the movie, when Lois is falling from the helicopter, use your telekinesis, Superman. I have a bigger problem with that, in that it creates those problems more so than just, oh, here's a random power. Like, when you think about it that way, it's like the magic kiss. It's like, okay, it's dodgy in a bunch of ways, but it's like, I don't have a problem with that being, a power that he has, I guess, because it's like, okay, he has these weird extra dimensional powers. We don't fully understand them. Fine. I don't mind, Anyway, my point is, Superman in these movies can breathe in space. When other people are flying around with Superman in space, they can also breathe in space.
Problem solved.
Problem solved, man. Like,
I really
we've much bigger fish to fry here.
I really enjoyed the moon fight, I have to say.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve did direct that himself. Yeah, and
I think it's really strong. I think a lot of their fighting in space up to that point isn't great, where it's not really in camera and you can see it's. There's a weird scene where Superman hits Nuclear Man, and he stops with the Earth in the background. He kind of turns around and looks at Superman. And as a kid, I thought he had like landed on Earth or something. It just doesn't work. But the moon fight sequence is great.
There's an overhead shot where they're fighting in space, and you can clearly tell that they're walking around on a black carpet.
Oh, right. I didn't get
full
that.
on Doctor Who level stuff, yeah.
But like, I don't think I changed anything. Like the entire thing with the moon, where he goes and picks up, like, it's corny and that, but who cares? He picks up the moon landing flag and fixes it, and then Nuclear Man attacks him, and they have this fight, and like Superman, that part where where Nuclear Man throws him out into space, and then he flies back at him and hurts his head, and then Nuclear Man buries him in the moon. Like, that's, I think that all that is great. I think it looks great. Like, I know it's John's cheapest chips, but I think Chris did a great job directing it. Love all that stuff.
Can I dig my own grave with what I'm about to say and get banished to the Phantom Zone of fans? I prefer all the Nuclear Man fight in this to anything in Superman 2, as in the fight in Superman 2. And like, I like the fight in Superman 2 just fine, but there's way more in Superman 4. And it's way more of like a throwdown brawl in Superman 4. Like, they're properly wrestling. Like, they're actually getting down. And it absolutely, I've said this before, it absolutely feels like a forerunner to the Doomsday battle a couple of years later in the comics.
Like, they're kicking each other, they're clawing at each other. Like, it is a proper fight.
Like, this is awesome. The Ivan Drago fight of Superman.
And I like the conclusion. Like, I know people probably had a thing with, oh, look, you can't move the moon and fuck up the earth or whatever. I think it's great. I think it's great.
In the context of these films, all four of which have crazy, like, Herculean, Atlas Olympian feats of strength and madness. Like, it's of a piece with those films, It's crazy Silver Age Superman. He was moving the moon this way and that in those comics. It's like, I'll buy it. It's crazy, it's silly, it's a bit stupid, but it makes me excited when I watch it.
Absolutely. Dropping Lenny back to the prison afterwards, or to the boys' school, dropping Lex back to the quarry, and all the boys whistling, and then that brilliant final line of Christopher Reeve. It is as it always was, on the brink with good fighting evil. And then he just takes off. Love it. C in 20. Yeah, love it.
Which they would.
Literally, yeah. 100%.
Little did we know.
But I have to say, overall, I really enjoyed watching it, Jesse. It looks great in 4K. Obviously, all those issues still persist, but I'm at the point now where who cares?
We're jumping all over the place. There's one other deleted bit I want to ask you about. I don't know if you made it this far into Quest for Coherence, but we've already spoken about how we change out some of the background plates of Superman and Lois flying around. One of my least favorite shots in the entire film is the opening shot of that flight, where you see the back of Superman and the back of Lois, and it's a really, really unflattering shot of the back of Lois. Like, it looks like it looks like he's flying with like a teddy bear or something, like the way she's kind of like the dress looks, it's just sitting on her really badly. It's a horrible shot anyway. But I do maintain that you need the flight around the world in this movie, and you need the balcony shot. To me, the balcony scene is the best scene in the film and the best Superman and Lois scene in the series, and possibly my favorite Superman and Lois scene ever. So I think you need all that. My question to you is, in the deleted stuff, did you make it this far in?
You have to tell me what it is first.
Okay, so in the theatrical version, we see Superman and Lois fly around the world.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit where he says, off you go, and it looks like he sort of pushes her into a wind tunnel or something like that, and she flies.
It's the telekinesis again.
She kind of flies in one direction herself. She puts her hands over her face, and some pigeons fly by, and then he flies down beside her, and they keep going, and that's fine, right? So in the extended version, she continues to fly around and like gets the hang of it, and like by the end of it is like properly flying around like Superman.
Oh yeah.
And she does like loop-de-loops and like spins around in a circle and like is just joyously flying around on her own, and it's. I'm gonna say it. I really, really dig it, man. I think it's really, really nice. It's just like, if you buy into the Superman and Lois relationship in these movies, it's like it's a nice culmination of that. It's like she's finally at the same. She's on a level playing field with him at this point, and she respects him so much and has so much love and affection for him that she now has the gift of flight herself, and she's not afraid like she was in the first movie. She's actually flying alongside him. I just think there's something really beautiful to that. It is absolutely a stupid bullshit, extra power that Superman is apparently able to give people his own powers, but like if that's one of the stupid extra powers he has, I really, really like it. And then you get back down to the balcony then a second later, and he goes, how did you like going solo? And she said, well, I love it, but not as much as being with you. That is a spectacular line, and it's made more powerful by the fact that she's actually properly flying around the world with him with a smile on her face, and not just like briefly gliding through a wind tunnel and pigeons flying into her face. I don't know. It's a real risky hot take that I have, but I love that stuff. And yes, it does not look good, you know, of course not. But I think, you know, to in the film's credit, that there's some nice stuff where you see the sun setting and like the sun is like rising behind her as there's a beautiful, beautiful shot of Margot Kidder flying towards the screen, and like she kind of does a twirl, like almost like Helen Slater, and I just think it's cool, man. That's all. I'm not going to sell anybody else. I can see you shaking your head. You're not going for it either. I just think it's beautiful. I have to stress again, I think the love story in this is so powerful, and it's why I think that stuff with Lacey just, it feels wrong. It just feels like it's betraying the emotional core of the movie, which is Lois and her love for Superman and her support of Clark as a friend. And as you said earlier on, that scene later on in the movie where it's like she remembers but she doesn't remember, and it just it goes into this whole thing of like what is swirling around in her mind, and like how much of it has she held on to, and how much has it informed her day-to-day life. Like it just gets you thinking about all this stuff in just this really interesting way. And it's like, you know, people just say this movie's dumb and all that, and it is, but like every time I watch it, I'm like, that's really, really interesting. And wouldn't it be even more interesting to see that unfold again, and maybe see her fully retain the memories that she lost in the second movie? You know, there's so much there that, and this, a lot of it is just me having watched the movie 1,000 times and wanting to like it and wanting to find new avenues to think about with these movies. But I just think I just really like that stuff, and I really like Margot Kidder in all of these movies. But I think this might actually be my favorite performance from her, and it's just so sad to me all the time that you just hear people saying, well, she doesn't look well, and she looks old, and she's dressed badly, and all of those things are true, by the way, and she'll tell you that herself. But I think the beauty of it is she's so good in this movie that they realised that in the edit, and they cut out the Lacey stuff, and you can actually hear Sidney J. Furie say that in that podcast, that Christopher Reeve came to him and said, oh, I can't believe how good Margot is in this movie. And like you watch it and you're like, yeah, she is good in this, you know? So look, that's my 10 cents. I don't think you agree with me, but I had to say that I do really like that stuff.
Well, no, and I can see your point. I don't like her flying solo stuff. I would cut all that out. I would also even go back and cut out the part where it happens briefly in the original version if I could. Again, I just see it as an example of this telekinesis power stuff that it just doesn't really make sense to me.
But would you cut out Superman saying, how'd you like flying solo? I loved it, but not as much as being with you.
Yeah. All right. Because I just don't think it works. I just don't think her flying on her own works. But I will say this.
So hang on, sorry. So I'm being really pedantic here. If you cut that out, do you start the scene? Do you literally start the scene with Superman landing and saying, you know, Lois, sometimes I don't know what to do?
I'd leave it as it is in the original, in the theatrical version.
But you just said you cut that out of the theatrical version. That's
not in the theatrical version.
He doesn't say they land, and he says, how'd you like going solo? And she says, I loved it. Are you honestly arguing with me about Superman 4? What is and isn't in?
Point taken. I don't remember that. I honestly don't remember that line, but obviously I wouldn't want to hack anything out of whatever conversation they have when they go back. So if you had to keep in the small bit of solo flying in order to keep that conversation, that scene in its entirety, then you'd have to leave it in, I suppose.
Yeah.
When it comes to Lacey Warfield, I never got the impression from the theatrical version that Clark Kent was in any way romantically interested in Lacey Warfield. Like I never saw it as like a Lana situation where he had legitimate feelings for this girl. I honestly just think that he's a really nice guy. She is his boss. She is sending him on these assignments. He knows that she has a bit of a thing for him, and he's just been a nice guy and trying not to hurt her feelings in response. Like I've never once watched Superman 4: The Quest for Peace and thought that the Lacey stuff was an actual love story. I've always thought it was the Margot Kidder stuff.
But do you agree, though, that if you add in those other scenes, it does feel like that then?
If you add in the taxi scene, it definitely does feel like that.
And the Metro Club scene.
And the Metro Club scene. I wouldn't have those scenes in it as a result. But from the actual version that I grew up with, the theatrical version that I grew up with, I never, ever would have put Lacey Warfield as romantic interest of Clark Kent. Not a legitimate one. I just think he's been a nice guy.
Even the
There's even a line where she says about ignoring his calls. Isn't there? There's a line in the gym where she says something about him not returning her calls, and he's like, "Oh, I've just been very busy" or whatever. Like I never got the impression that she was a legitimate romantic partner for him.
I think if you watch the Metro Club scene, it's literally set up as them really getting to know each other for real.
Yeah,
and
it's
like it's framed romantically. It feels like they're falling in love, and the bit in the gym, I think. It is framed romantic, but it is a puppy dog love. I think the way it's cut in the theatrical, they just about get away with it, but only just would be my attitude. Yeah. And like I do ultimately think Lacey Warfield, the reasons for her being in the film are cynical. Like, and you can see Christopher Reeve in promotional stuff. He's like, you need a bit of sexual tension, you need a bit of sexual suggestion, and then you immediately get Margot Kidder saying, "Yeah, they decided I was too old." She literally says this.
I love. She literally says she's so straight about it. She doesn't try and hide it at all. She's just like totally honest about it. She's like, they obviously thought I was too old to be a romantic interest. That is heartbreaking. And like for me, I Superman is not James Bond. He's also not Batman. Like, I don't need him to have a different girlfriend in every movie. It just doesn't. It's not that serious. And I think they tried to make it that with Superman 3, and then again here, doesn't work. I think they found a good compromise in the theatrical, but I wouldn't push it any farther than they did. I have to say one thing before we finish up as well. In terms of the opening scene, I've seen this film, like, again, it's my least favourite, but I've still seen it 50 times. That opening scene with Clark on the farm in Smallville really hit me when I watched it yesterday, because I'm at the stage of life myself now where my grandparents who pretty much raised me are in nursing care. And when I go home to Waterford, the house is vacant. Me and Stacey stay there to kind of keep the heat on and open the windows and keep fresh air in and stuff when we go down to Waterford. And it just really hit me in a way that throughout my entire life watching it up to that point, it never hit me in that way. Like, I noticed when he comes out of the farmhouse that the windows are boarded up, and it's just there's a very emptiness to it. You know, there's nothing more empty than a home that's no longer a home. That's just a vacant building. And he feels so solitary and alone in that scene, you know, and he's not really Clark and he's not really Superman. He's just him. It's one of the few scenes where he's just himself. Yeah. And you can see him, he comes out of the farmhouse, he turns around and he looks, and you could almost, I'm not saying you should, but you could almost play like scenes from his childhood or whatever there where he's thinking back. Like, you can see it happening in his mind. And then he walks to the barn, and not only has he obviously lost his mother, and they don't really say when she died, between what movies or how long ago she passed away or anything, but then he goes in and then he takes the crystal out, and then he loses his connection to Krypton as well. Like that, the ship disappears, it goes cold and shuts down or whatever when he takes the crystal out, and like that's empty now to him as well. And then, you know, he has to go out and he has to put on this facade with the real estate agent, and that's a lovely scene where he's talking, you know, he's fighting for, you know, they want to sell it to a developer, he wants it for a real farmer, and they have this kind of discussion about it, and he's putting on the facade again, and you just feel, I don't think I've ever, in any Superman media, I don't think I've ever felt as sorry for Clark Kent as I do in that scene.
Yeah, no, it's a great scene. Even the way it's shot, it just looks really richly shot, and it looks modern. It's the only time where any of these four movies, I feel like they look like a movie that came out in my lifetime, which it almost did. So yeah, no, I really, really like that scene, and you know, it's.
I legitimately think that might be one of my favorite scenes in all of Superman media. Totally. You really relate to him in that moment, I think.
There's a good few of those in Superman 4 for me, but no, I agree, it's great. And I remember growing up, like, one of the many things people poke fun at in this film was, well, he throws a baseball into space, that doesn't make any sense, the baseball would burn up in there. Shut up, you idiot. It's a fun scene.
But he's just so alone in this movie. Like, throughout all of it, it's a theme that runs from the beginning all the way to the end of the film. He's alone. Like, when he's in his apartment, He's alone.
He's finally alone.
He's waking up alone. He's watching the nuclear arms crisis coverage alone. He's sick alone. Like, he has nobody to take care of him. Like, it's just sad.
He's a really shitty apartment as well.
Yeah.
Like, when you compare it to Lois's apartment in the first film, it's visibly shitty. Like, the door, the paint is crumbling. And like, it just has like a cold look about it. The balcony looks kind of sad. Now, part of this might just be that the film was cheap and it's Milton Keynes or whatever, but I think they genuinely and I think that's why that scene with the dog is there. It's to show that like his inner life is kind of crap. Like, he doesn't have this like lavish, jet setting life. He kind of has a lonely, sad, cold existence. I feel like if you had a better, maybe a better director and more time and more money, you could really sell that like this is like the crappy apartment we see Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
They could really make something of that. I think there's only really hints of it in the movie as it is, and even in the deleted stuff. But I do like that idea that Clark in this is not living the high life,
But it's a little bit sadder in that, like, he's not Peter Parker. He's not 22. Like, this guy is pushing 40.
35, yeah.
And like, that's why, like in a perfect world, I would have loved a version of this movie where she just knows after that second reveal. She just knows, and he ends the movie not alone, and maybe they fly off together or whatever.
If only they'd made Superman 5, Alan, where that happens. Because again, in Superman 5, in the third draft, they get married and they fly into space together and they live happily ever after. That's my ending for the Superman films.
It would have just been nice to finish it that way for him and have that character kind of, have somebody. But look, that's the way it is. We're reading into Superman 4: The Quest for Peace too much, I think. I'm about to shed a tear.
I know. No, you see, like, you're saying this, and there's all this talk of, it's not that deep. Like, I think they were really, really trying for something here. And like, if you talk to Christopher Reeve about it, if you talk to Sidney J. Furie about it, I think they had a lot of the intentions that we're talking about right now. I don't think we're overthinking it. I think there's other films where you can say, oh, well, you're just applying stuff here that it wasn't. I think that really was the intention. They were trying to get a lot of this across. They were trying to make Lois the emotional core of the movie. They were trying to have Lacey have this profound character arc where she becomes a better person and a better journalist by the end. They were trying to make a comment about how, for all the idealists out there who are trying to bring an end to nuclear war, there will always be some shitty capitalist like Lex Luthor who will play both countries against each other for monetary gain.
But Superman actually says that in the film. He says it to Lois. Yeah. He goes, there's always the fear that someone will try and take advantage of the world's good nature, which made 100%. Me think, when I was a kid, and it's just a logistical thing, I always thought that it was weird how he was only taking the missiles that were being fired up into space. Yeah. But in this version, watching it this time and with that line, I think the countries have basically signed up to voluntarily fire their missile stocks into the sky for him to get rid of them. Which is great, because he says, to take care of the world's goodwill, which would make me think, and obviously the applause in the United Nations, however unrealistic that might be, that he's going to disarm every country on the planet, basically. But I think that they're like, you know what, this is only going to go in a simplified movie world. The governments are thinking this is only going one way. Either we're all going to kill each other, or we can take this guy up we can just sign up to whatever he's selling here, give him the weapons and get rid of the fucking things.
And I think if that is a thing that has not aged well, right? If they made this movie now, they would need to explore that a bit more. It's like, not everybody would just be like, hold on a second, we're just going to give away all our nukes. I'm not so 100%. Sure about that. But like, either way, no matter what happens, somebody like Lex Luthor would stand up and go, I think I can do something with this, and be a shithead about it. We see it every single day right now. That's what Lex Luthor does. That's why I get so annoyed when people are like, well, Gene Hackman in those movies is nothing like Lex Luthor. No, that's exactly what Lex Luthor would do. Like, you watch the Nicholas Hoult movie, that's pretty much what he does there. You know, time and time again, he's a shitty capitalist who does things for money,
Agreed.
So yeah, look, I can talk about Superman 4 until the cows come home, and I'm very, very glad we had this opportunity. Would you say? I feel like you're ultimately at the same place you were, just that that you can see the promise, but maybe not the execution.
I definitely appreciate it a lot more. And like I said, it had been a few years since I'd watched it. And some of the themes, especially just his loneliness, like I said, throughout the film, really struck me yesterday. That part of it I thought was a lot more adult than some of the stuff that had been in, obviously, the other sequels and that. But I do have to appreciate. Look, it's never going to be further up the chain for me. But I definitely appreciate it a lot more than I have over the last few decades. And I'd be happy to, like I was saying there, like we might keep the theme running a little bit. We might do like a commentary or something. I don't know. At some point, have Martin on or have someone on and talk about it, because it's I find the topic of Superman 4 extremely interesting to talk about.
Yeah, like it is one of those films where you can't divorce yourself from the behind the scenes. Like it's interesting to think about and to talk about, and like in many ways, some of that is more interesting than the film itself. You know.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, like, I find the film itself very, very interesting and very enjoyable, and it's one I keep going back to. It has eclipsed Superman 2 at least. Like for me, Superman 4 is my second favorite Superman movie now. It's like, yeah, and I rewatch it a lot. I rewatch The Quest for Coherence a lot, and I think, you know, all this talk of how do we make Superman 4 better, if only there was a better version of Superman 4. For my money, they made a better version of Superman 4 last year, because the James Gunn movie follows the beats of it pretty closely, either by coincidence or design. You have, okay, so obviously you have a clone of Superman made with a lock of his hair. That's a pretty big one. But also you have Lex Luthor playing several countries against each other. Superman getting involved in geopolitical events and suffering the ramifications of that and having to meditate on them. You have Superman feeling sullen and unsure about his place in the world, and then Lois bringing him up from that. You know, you have the world feeling the effects of Superman's goodwill and responding in kind. And you know, one of the things we've been talking about a lot tonight, Lacey and the journey she goes through in the movie is like not a million miles away from the likes of, you know, what the Justice Gang go through, and especially Guy Gardner in that movie. Maybe I'm grasping a bit with that one, but I think you can draw some parallels there. So I think it's a very similar movie. I have not heard James Gunn compare the two, and in fact when Jay Towers brought up Superman 4 in his interview, James Gunn looked at him like he had 4 heads. So it could just be a thing that these great ideas just exist out there in the ether. But like, I mean, if you look at the armor that Ultraman is wearing at the start of the movie, the Hammer of Boravia he's called at the start of the movie, you can't tell me that that's not at least inspired a little bit by Nuclear Man's suit. Like, it looks very, very similar.
I'm surprised Nuclear Man never really. I know that there's short, pictures and stuff of him in the comics and that, but I'm surprised he never took off as an actual Superman villain. He's not the worst.
I'm not. I love him, but I'm not surprised, to be honest. People, like, I remember message boards growing up and stuff and talking about, Nuclear Man, yeah, whatever, and people would be like, what? the guy from Superman 4 who looks like Michael Bolton? I don't think so.
Shout out to Mark Pillow, friend of the podcast.
Shout out to Mark Pillow, friend of the podcast. Any final thoughts before we move on?
He just, when we were mentioning Mark, he actually commented on the group's pictures yesterday, saying he had great memories or something. But no, just thoroughly enjoyed the weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed it's a bucket list item that we ticked off. Thoroughly enjoyed rewatching the movie and revisiting the movie and talking to so many people about it over the last few days. We will, if you follow our socials, we'll be putting up a lot of the photos from the weekend up there. If you want to join the Super Events UK, have a Facebook group. If you want to join that, apply to join that, and you can keep up to date on any future events that they're running. Again, thanks to Jim Bowers and Martin and everybody for being so generous with their gifts and their time and everything, organising the weekend for Andy and Alexi as well, everybody who made the effort to attend. And we might even put up I took some videos of some of Martin's talks. Now, I haven't actually checked them out yet. I'm not sure what the sound is like in that, but we might stick them up on the YouTube channel or something maybe.
Yeah, and
we'll see. You took some interviews and stuff.
There'll be a lot of that in this episode as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. No.
Two last things I want to ask you. Did you watch the Lanterns trailer?
I did. I actually only watched it today. Green Lantern meets True Detective kind of feel to it a little bit. Wasn't too excited for it. More excited now than I was before I'd seen this trailer. Sinestro looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing something just a little bit different. When's that out? Is that in the next few weeks?
I think it's coming out pretty soon because Kyle
I think
Chandler
it's August.
He's doing a lot of promo for it now, so it must be coming out soon. I was very similar. I think initially I was like, okay, I'm not really so sure what they're doing here, but I'm happy to hear them out. And then there was another underwhelming trailer, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then Supergirl came out, and I was like, I really don't have much faith at all in any of this stuff. But now I kind of saw this again. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll hear them out. I've heard a lot of people refer to it as being like Training Day as well, which makes me think of the Green Lantern First Flight animated movie, if you remember that one, where it was Sinestro training Hal Jordan. That was pretty interesting. And this is obviously Hal Jordan training John Stewart. I definitely get the vibe that maybe Hal Jordan is feeling the effects of like parallax or something in this, which could be really, really interesting, because if I don't know how up you are in the 90s comics, but Hal Jordan went crazy and killed a lot of people.
I know all about it. Yeah. Destroyed the whole city.
That could be pretty cool to do, man. I know people love Hal Jordan, but like I loved that storyline growing up, and you know, they're setting up John Stewart anyway, so it's like, why not do that? That'd be really cool. I just to go back to the parallax thing, like a lot of people have been talking how brown it looks, and also that there's like bits of yellow in his ring. I'm like, that could be a telltale clue that something sinister is going on here. And then obviously even the way he's talking to Sinestro in this trailer, like it looks like Sinestro has some kind of dirt on him that we don't know. Like I'm just very compelled to see how this all shapes out, and I hope they're fearless enough, you know, no pun intended, to really explore some of that stuff from the 90s, because I know Hal Jordan is for anyone who doesn't know, Hal Jordan, you know, he's one of the beloved hallmarks of the DC universe, but then they did that in the 90s and he was gone for a long time. He was gone until like 2006. Kyle Rayner was the big one. Like he was basically the Green Lantern I grew up with, and so much so that he was the one in Superman the Animated Series. And then they did John Stewart in the Justice League show. And then it wasn't until like a couple of years after that that they actually brought back Hal Jordan. And I think the reason they brought him back was, well, that's the version Jeff Johns grew up with, so we got to bring him back. And it's the same with Barry Allen. It's like Barry Allen was gone.
Dead for a long time.
He was dead as a doornail for like 20 years. So I'd love to see, and that's the era that James Gunn seems to be really, really in love with, is like the late 80s into the 90s of DC Comics. So I'd have no problem with them exploring that a little bit. And Kyle Chandler is a great actor, like, and I already think he looks great in the role. I
used to love him in Early Edition back in the 90s.
Early Edition, yeah. He, like, if they hadn't cast the actor who ended up on that show, I would have really liked Kyle Chandler as Clark in Lois and Clark. I think he would have been really good. But yeah, so that looks cool. I'm cautiously optimistic. Last thing I want to say, we're going to do a Spider-Man Brand New Day review with friend of the show, John Rawlings. I'm really, really excited about that. Talk to me about your level of excitement for that movie. We don't need to get deep in the weeds of Spider-Man or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm excited enough. I'm glad it's a Spider-Man movie. I enjoy the Tom Holland films for what they are. I'm kind of burned off with the MCU, to be honest with you. I have been really since Endgame. I've gone and seen a few of the subsequent films in the cinema and I haven't really been too impressed with them. But the Spider-Man stuff has been good. I think I'm going to try and bring Alana Jean to see it as well, because we are in the middle of an MCU rewatch. We're about to watch Black Panther. Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, was one of her favourite MCU movies so far. Every time she sees the trailer, she's getting excited about it. So I think I might bring her as well. I'm hoping it'll be okay for her. I'm sure it will.
You're pretty far into the MCU. That's impressive.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like she's loving it. And it's the experience of the three of us sitting down and just watching. The only one she didn't like, I was actually telling Neil Rickardson this over the weekend. She doesn't like Civil War. She didn't like the Avengers fighting each other. She didn't like Rhodey getting injured. And she turned to me afterwards. She was like, "Daddy, I never want to see that movie again." I was like, "Okay," which shocked me because she loved like Winter Soldier, which, for all intents and purposes, is like a political thriller. I was like, "There's no way she's going to get through this," but she loved that. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. So obviously, my Spider-Man knowledge, and we'll get to this in the episode. My Spider-Man knowledge is pretty limited when it comes to the comic books. Like I grew up in the animated series, and the games, the PlayStation games and stuff, really are, and obviously the movies then from the Tobey Maguire from 2001 on. I've seen them all of them as well. That would kind of be the limit of my Spider-Man knowledge in terms of the character and the background and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm sort of there with you. I think it looks good. I also have liked the Tom Holland movies for the most part. I really, really liked Homecoming, and I thought the other two were fine. I like that this one looks a bit more back to basics. It looks like he's swinging around New York, solving crimes, doing things, doing Spider-Man things. It looks a lot more like the Spider-Man comics and the cartoon that I grew up with. Whereas I think definitely the last two, and to an extent even Homecoming, kind of got away from that a little bit. Like there's not a lot of New York stuff in those movies, not a lot of just Peter Parker living his life stuff. Oh, well, there is a lot in Homecoming, less so in the other two.
There's a lot of Tony stuff in there's a lot of
Tony Stark stuff, a lot of big gadgets, a lot of big world universe ending stuff. It just doesn't really feel Spider-Man when you do that stuff, I think. So looking for it. I'm interested to see it. I'm more excited about it than I am about Avengers Doomsday, I got to be honest.
Same. Yeah.
That trailer didn't do a whole lot for me, I got to be honest, fellas and girls. But we will wait and see. So yeah, I guess that about does it. It's been a little bit of a lengthy one tonight, but I had a lot of fun. I feel like got a lot of stuff off my chest, Alan. What about you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and again, thanks to everybody who took part this weekend.
Absolutely.
And check out those groups. Also, you can check us out, All Star Superfan, on Facebook and Instagram. We're at All Star Superpod on Gmail. If you want to send us an email or a voice note, we're on SpeakPipe for voice notes. We're on the Inside All Star Superfan Facebook group. There'll be a lot of pictures and stuff posted there now in the next few days as well, and videos and stuff from the weekend away in Milton Keynes. So yeah, check us out, and don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
There is a good chance that you are listening to this podcast for the first time off the back of that trip, or people you might know who attended that trip. So please do engage with us. Follow us on the socials. Tell your friends about the show. Let us know what you thought. Let us know how wrong Alan is or how wrong I am about our Superman 4 hot takes. We would love to hear from you.
And if you're big into the Christopher Reeve movies, we have an Ultimate Cut episode of Superman 2 from a couple of years ago you can check out with Zach Moore and Oliver Harper. We interviewed Mark Pillow, Nuclear Man himself, a couple of years ago. That episode is up on all the feeds. We interviewed Ilya Salkind, the famous film producer, movie man of all the Superman, of the first 3 Superman movies and the Superboy TV show. Rob has interviews with the actors from the Superboy TV show on his Patreon.
They're on the main feed.
They're on the main feed, on the main feed. John Newton, Jared Christopher, Barry Douglas Myers. I did an episode a couple of months ago with Martin Lakin that concentrated totally on the Metro Club scene that Martin and others discovered and brought back to life for Superman 4. So there's plenty of Christopher Reeve movie-related content and other stuff throughout our 5-year history. So check out all those episodes.
Very nice. Do you want to send us off, Alan?
As always, stay safe, stay super, and take care out there. Bye-bye.
How'd you like going solo?
I loved it. Not as much as being with you.
I needed to be with you, too. You make me laugh.
You're the only one I can talk to, Lois. See, sometimes I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I'm always here for you, you know that. And you'll do the right thing no matter what it is. You always have.
Thank you. You know something?
What?
You don't even know my name.
Kal-El.
You remember, don't you?
I remember everything.
Never set one of them above the rest. Love all humanity instead. That's not fair.